Kendo, a modern Japanese martial art of fencing with bamboo swords, has its origins in the samurai. This art shapes the mind and body, giving the fighter what he wants from Kendo, in return changing it as he needs. Kendo makes you act when you are powerless to do anything. Screaming is important in it. Because the cry is the internal strength of the fighter, it centralizes the energy of the abdominal channels and directs it to the goal. This art does not end with struggle. It is a constant movement towards something. It is the energy of life. Ian Sheeran finished all rounds within 20 seconds. The world has never seen such fighters. An absolute master. Will it ever see him again? No. 3 years later, the nightclub Zeus, champion Ian Sheeran. The area around the fencing master was strewn with bloody corpses. Who is this damn psychopath that everyone is scared of? It's just one brat. All the thugs must attack him at once and rip open the bastard's belly. He won't be able to take them all down. The still warm blood of the killers flowed from the blade of the master's sword. This was his choice. This is his new path, sprinkled with blood and death, and there is no turning back. In 1 second, the master cut off the hands of the mercenary with the saw. The tools still continued to work. The killer roared in pain. Ian took no pleasure in hurting even such degenerates as these. But the master no longer sees any other path for himself. Ian is obliged to reach the very end. To go down to hell itself to find peace for his soul. Who is he? And here it is. The voice of the one because of whom Ian leaves a trail of corpses behind him. Ian is dangerous. He chops people into pieces. The boy is admirable. They should unite. His art of killing is mesmerizing. He is incomparable. The freak will die. He is responsible for the death of Ian's little sister, and he killed Ian's mother. There are only the two of them left, but only one of them will leave here. 2 years ago, Gangnam, a cold rain was pouring outside the window, and then the impenetrable darkness set in. The economic situation is hitting small businesses hard, and in one area, snack bars have been closed. And also the kendo sections. Everyone hopes that small businesses will be able to survive. There is a wave of robberies and murders of single women living in studios in Seoul. Surviving victims are outraged by police inaction. The main character was not interested in what was happening in the world at that time. The young man went up to his room and began to collect his sports trophies. Kendo will not leave the life of a fencer even with the end of training. For a fighter, it is life. The phone rang. It was mentor Ian. His student really had left the sport. His phenomenal talent definitely needs to be put to use. He needs to open his own kendo dojo. Ian doesn't need a job yet. Then the student can become a teacher in the mentor's dojo, and he won't be offended by the salary. It's enough for Ian that his coach hasn't forgotten him. He'll be helping his mother with her restaurant. She can't cope alone. The young man needs to pack his things. He was glad to hear from his mentor. The mother devoted her whole life to her children and work. She needs to be repaid for her care in the same way. Once, when he was little, he was convinced that his life would be filled only with kendo. And then she appeared, the younger sister Relia, and there were 3 of them. Relia always gravitated towards her reserved brother, while Ian was always her silent guardian. So many warm and dear memories are captured in the photographs. Even though Ian always had a steely face in the pictures, he was happy and in love. Why does brother always have such a cold face when Ian is about to smile? It's so annoying. No wonder Ian still doesn't have a girlfriend. My daughter really decided to live alone in Seoul during such difficult times. It's safe here, Mom worries in vain. And provincial applicants find a place for themselves here. Relia must not forget, if something happens, she must draw the infinity sign. What is this supposed to mean? What is the infinity sign? How is my sister feeling? Ian was covered in blood. Relia was shaking with fear. But why didn't her brother run away? Ian could have died here. How could a brother run away and abandon Relia? Ian loves his little sister endlessly. The infinity sign looks like an inverted horizontal figure 8, and the brother thinks that something might happen to Relia here. They both know how to support. Relia called out to her classmate, "Here comes Suna. Let her come here quickly. Her friend will also live alone and rent a studio. Let's take a photo together." The girlfriends and mother beamed, but Ian remained unmoved. Ian suddenly felt uneasy, went to the phone and picked up his trophy. The reward was shattered into pieces. This is not a good sign. The brother's heart immediately began to ache. News about the murders of girls in the area flashed through his mind. Ian should check it out. The guy had already dialed many times, but his sister didn't answer. This subscriber cannot answer the call. The caller can leave a message. That day was etched into Ian's soul forever and became the beginning of the end. The hitman finished the cleanup and got rid of the evidence. The boss will be pleased. It's so easy to deal with these girls. She has the same picture on the pages here. Maybe she had problems with her head. Let her take everything valuable. It's time for them to leave. Her brother won't stop calling her. He writes that he will come because his sister does not answer his calls. Relia's body was hanging from a rope in her studio just outside the front door. Her diary was covered with an infinity sign, and tears were frozen on the pages. The day of the little sister's funeral came, and Ian had to carry it out. Among a small group of people, the young man found his sister's friend Suna. Suna came to put incense. No, she is very ill now. Yen understands her. Where is Lulun's mother? She is not feeling well, and her legs are too weak to walk after what happened. Yen may not see Suna off. She will find a way out herself. Here the girl's attention was drawn to the ribbon of the memorial wreath with the name Fash. They can talk in private. Suna bit her lip as if she was forbidding herself from saying anything, so she wanted to discuss it. How is this possible? The older brother doesn't look sad at all. He always has an indifferent expression. As if Yen was a psychopath, Relia had said so, and now Suna was convinced of it. On the day of the attack on his sister, Ian told her for the first time that he loved her. My sister then admitted that she thought he was an insensitive psychopath, and she was so ashamed. Relia was happy to know that her brother loved her too. That's what she always wanted. So what did Suna want to talk about? His sister died. Why was Ian so calm? If she has nothing to say, Ian will go. He was given a short leave from work for the funeral. 3 days later, Ian was looking at the donation report. 1 million won from Fash. Fash's sales representative contributed that amount, and Ian saw the tape with that word on it. He has bad suspicions, a name, a lot of makeup and revealing outfits. The guy opened her diary and came across a photo in the Fash establishment. The friends were dressed revealingly. The guess was becoming more and more confirmed, and here Ian's broken heart shattered into pieces. He opened that very page, the endless cries of his little sister for help that he never heard. Relia was begging for help. She didn't kill herself. Ian had to find out what happened. Who is that strange guy? He is clearly not from this university. And here is Suna. She definitely knows something. What is this inhuman cracker doing here? Where was this photo taken and under what circumstances? It was made in a nightclub. It is not a club at all, but an entertainment establishment. There will be a 3-day bikini event at Fashion. If you come before 6, there will be a free dinner. Is it really necessary to advertise a bikini so vulgarly the event is a general mailing? Relia hates this part of the job. It's just click, copy, and send. In the room, other girls were already getting ready for the arrival of clients. Suna is such a beauty today. She is always a beauty or not. Relia suggests that they take a picture together as a keepsake. She's gone crazy. And what if someone sees it? A client gave her this camera as a gift. Why don't they try it out? From the Hongdae Club or something. They worked at the entertainment establishment with Relia. Let Suna continue. The owner of the club is standing behind the counter and talking to customers. He was the one who sent that wreath to the funeral. So Fash is a strip bar. It's not that kind of place. They just sit next to the customers. Nothing special. They can't touch girls. Perverts are immediately kicked out of the club. Suna took this job to pay for her university education. But why did Relia need this? That's all. Suna doesn't hide anything from Ian. Suna was about to say something, but she looked out the window behind Ian and froze in fear. She immediately jumped up. That's all Suna wanted to say. It was time for her to go back to class. In Relia's studio, the guy began to beat his fists until they bled to release his pain and anger. Blood was running down his knuckles. His beloved little sister was begging for help. She was so scared. Her tears froze on the pages, and Ian never saw their infinity sign. He couldn't save her. He promised to always protect her. Ian bandaged his hand. One thing was for sure, it definitely wasn't suicide. The next day, the guy came to the police to see the investigator, where he found evidence that his sister was killed. They agreed to warn each other when they were in danger with an infinity sign. Back in high school, the brother and sister agreed to send the number 8. That is, his sister warned him about the threat, not the police. Relia couldn't talk about her work at the bar, so she simply wrote down these signs in her diary. The funeral has already taken place, and Relia was cremated. An autopsy is needed to prove that it was not suicide. When the death was reported, the family confirmed it was suicide and opposed an autopsy. Their mother insisted on canceling the autopsy, but the girl's body can no longer be returned. It's cremated and the police can't start an investigation without leads. It's definitely connected to his sister's work somehow. They can at least question everyone connected to Fash's bar. The two men's eyes met. Why were the police so reluctant? Ian has an alibi, but the guy is the most suspicious right now. After all, his little sister had died, but not a single muscle moved on the young man's face. No one else is paying so much attention to his sister's death. It's suspicious. And the police will not begin an investigation without some evidence pointing to foul play. It's all clear to Ian. Everyone he meets has started to think of themselves as detectives. Damn TV series. Samsungdo District. Ian looked around for the club where his little sister worked. Here it is. A night spot in a bad area. A dangerous place for a young student. At the entrance, the young man was met by a security guard. The guest came alone and was looking for someone special. Ian was here for the first time. In this case, the employee will take the newcomer into the hall. This is the owner of the establishment. He was talking on the phone and immediately turned away from the young man passing by. The owner talked to some man and thanked him for the warning. Basement, about 20 steps down. The owner stands 5 meters from the entrance. In the center, there is a hall and rooms decorated with curtains. There is only one entrance for outsiders. The guest looks great. The girl was told that it was his first time with them. At the bar counter, you can only communicate. You can't use your hands. And the administrator is familiar with the name Relia Shirin. She worked for them. This girl doesn't work here anymore, but she was actually here for a while. And the girl can hardly tell more about her. She quit a long time ago. Her eyes show tension. The corners of her mouth involuntarily droop. She knows something. What does the gentleman do? Drink this whiskey 1 minute. The administrator hurried anxiously to the owner of the club. That guy keeps asking about Aruna, who, Relia Sharon, she had the nickname Aruna. The detective is getting on the nerves of the murdered girl's brother. He wants to take matters into his own hands. He needs to get rid of him. The investigator said that there would be no investigation and threatened him. But he went to the club anyway. So this is the annoying brother. The administrator can say that there are no seats. No need. Let him tell everyone not to gossip about Rayleigh. And what about her friend? After Aruna's death, she never showed up at the club again. That guy is trying to dig something up. Let everyone pretend they don't know anything. Ian called the first employee of the club who worked with his little sister. She knows something about Aruna. The girl has only been working here for a couple of days. The second one was transferred from another branch, so she doesn't know anyone here at all. The third one kept knocking over glasses of whiskey and insisted that she had no idea who she was. The fourth was already quite drunk and couldn't even remember her name. None of the girls know about his sister. It's all kind of weird. The administrator approached the young man. He will have something else. Ian is finished here. Payment by card? That guy didn't dig up anything and is already leaving. Excellent. A grief-stricken soul. He had been drinking heavily, the right circumstances for death. It's better to deal with him right away so that he doesn't wander around here anymore. The administrator and the security guard escorted the client, telling him to come to their club again. The guy wandered into some poorly lit alley and felt sick from the alcohol he had drunk. Behind him, 3 of the owner of Fash were already standing, waiting for the right moment. 3 freaks whose intentions were written on their faces. Ian immediately sensed something was wrong when he saw 3 big guys following him out of the corner of his eye. The kendo master turned sharply towards his pursuers, his eyes flashing. The young man pretended to feel sick and squatted down near the scattered leaflets. Ian quietly picked up the colorful flyers from the ground and put them in his jacket, after which the hand of the biggest thug lay on his shoulder. And here it begins. The boy should follow them into that dark alley. It will be easy. The boy is so skinny and drunk. 3 mercenaries trapped the boy and threw him into a brick wall. If the brat doesn't treat them, he's finished. The alley is 1.5 meters wide. There are 3 opponents. It's unlikely that this is a simple robbery. These degenerates were definitely hired because of his concern about his sister's death. Ian has no money, and yet the guy is walking around the Samsondo area, a blatant lie. Let the boys break the liar's leg so that he never shows up here again. These dumb thugs are definitely connected to that market bar Ian visited today. This means that it is definitely worth digging further under Fash, since they are trying to remove him from the road. Each blow will cost the brat something, if this weakling survives at all, of course. The protagonist took a deep breath and pulled a stack of flyers out of his hood, after which he rolled the stack up tighter and held it out in front of him like a sword. The kid clearly overdid it with alcohol, as the mercenary shows with how many fingers. Ian is giving these freaks a chance to get out of here right now. He's a total psycho. It's interesting that the thugs have already gutted that curious little bastard. The boss will go and check everything on the cameras. They are taking a long time with him. Haven't they killed him yet? What are they waiting for? The boss said to break the legs and quietly get rid of what's going on there. Stop! The brat is holding a knife in his hand. No, it's paper. What the hell is this crazy guy doing? How is he dodging so quickly? Ian pushed off the wall and hit the second one. What the? Is it such a joke that this weakling could fill the mercenary with some paper? Well, the brat started this himself. Today the little bastard will die here. Ian knocked the knife away from the killer in a second, breaking his fingers in the process. What kind of machine with paper is this? Who grew it? The owner of the club stared at the screen in shock. What just happened? The main character rolled up the flyers more tightly and made one edge pointed. Behind the boy lay 3 large bodies of hired killers. Ian threw down the paper. What kind of action movie did the boss just watch? What's wrong with this guy's head? The club owner needs this annoying little brat's address right now. Meanwhile, the young man was removing the bandages soaked in someone else's blood. Suna definitely knows something. When they met at the coffee shop, she just ran away. She was definitely going to say something. Something was bothering her, but she was scared. Relia's friend may simply be being watched so that she doesn't blab too much. What happened to his little sister? What did she get herself into? And it wasn't by chance that he met those degenerates either. He had to drag them to the police station. Suna can definitely shed light on his sister's life and death. Meanwhile, Yunran was snoring peacefully in his clean bedroom. He was awakened by a phone call. They made inquiries about Ian. He is Relia's older brother. He lives in her studio. His mother is in the hospital in Gangneung. He is alone in Seoul. The mother fell ill after learning of her daughter's death, which means he is alone in his sister's studio. At first, the guy just wanted to pack her things, but then he decided to stay. And this Ian is not simple. He is a kendo champion. It is an active sport that has no application in life, but it is still a phenomenon in this sport. This damn psycho, and what to do with this annoying relative. The mercenaries could simply take him out and bury him in the suburbs. The detective says they should lay low for now. So this brat is a champion in kendo, a very unpopular sport. Even on the internet, there are only a couple of articles written about this sport. Leaving this guy alone could be dangerous. But how to eliminate this little bastard without unnecessary noise? Ian tried to distract himself from the pain by exercising, but she was in front of his eyes. His little sister, it's all over. Relia has nothing to fear anymore. What if someday she is in danger again? The little sister will have to draw an infinity sign. The mangled bodies of the attackers lay all around. She has nothing to fear around her brother. He will protect her. But Ian couldn't, and that toxic feeling of guilt and pain will always be with him. There was a knock on the studio door. Ian got dressed and went to open the door. Fash rented this studio for Relia. There is no need to renew the lease anymore. But the owner said that someone was living there. Ian had not finished packing her things. A donation was made at the funeral from Fash. That's right. Such a tragedy happened. Relia committed suicide. Relia was popular, and other establishments often tried to poach her. The owner tried to persuade her, but the 10 Pro Club finally lured her away. What else is 10 Pro? This is a leading entertainment establishment. Something like a boss in the game. The girls also sit and chat with the clients. But the owner knows that an unpleasant incident happened to her there. Maybe this was the reason for her suicide. A lie. Yunran Sib fidgets with his hands and looks away from Ian. The club director asks his brother for forgiveness. He couldn't protect the poor thing. Restless hands, licking lips, avoiding eyes, Yunran is lying. And now he's also trying to push his dirty money. Relia was killed. What the young man just said was that his sister didn't kill herself. Ian requested a forensic examination. Her body was not at the funeral, he said. Tomorrow the guy will pick up his sister's body from the morgue, and then the autopsy results will be ready. Ian will go to the police and present the results of the examination. Yunran swallowed. The guy could count on his help. It's time for Director Fash to get back to business. Good luck to the boy. What kind of nonsense is he talking about? Then everything will be revealed. Maybe the bastard is just bluffing. It's not clear from his face. It's always stony. The mercenaries must kill the bastard today. Thugs kill a guy in his sister's apartment, that's right. Let them take more guys. He is a kendo champion, and clean up after themselves thoroughly. They'll make it look like the bastard committed suicide. Ian threw out the bait, and all that was left was to wait for this freak's reaction. Night fell, and a car with 4 mercenaries pulled up to Ian's house. It seems that it was their lot to finish off not only the sister, but also the brother. It doesn't matter why they went on Thursday. The main thing is to get money. Let's hurry up. The mercenary still wants to make it to the soup. Well, let's go. The apartment has already become like home to them. Meanwhile, Ian was watching the killers closely from the window. More than 2 people won't be able to pass through the corridor. He'll be able to deal with them with a few lunges. The ticking of buttons became audible. These bastards know the password to the electronic lock. This degenerate said that he rented a studio for reshit. That's where they got the password from. This bastard said that he ordered an autopsy and examination. It's a bluff. Yunran sent the guys anyway. They're finished if it's not a bluff. He should have made things more difficult for himself. He should have gotten lost in his gangnong. If the job is clean, like with my sister, the police won't do anything. Yunran will pay the detective another time. He doesn't have time for attention. The boss will drop by the studio in the morning and find the body. But the autopsy will be ready by midday. So Yunran has nothing to do there in the morning. It won't arouse suspicion. This way you can really become attached to this apartment. Wait, why is the bed empty? Is their victim not at home or something? The mercenaries were watching the house. That guy definitely didn't come out. But then where is this little bastard? The motion sensor keeps blinking. It's annoying. He needed to turn on the light. The mercenaries jumped up in unison, and Ian appeared in front of him. The Cretan scared them. It's not going well. They'll kill him, and then think about it. There's nothing of value here if these idiots are going to rob it. This is a lie, as it is of no value. But what about the life of this bastard? The mercenaries won't let him out. He has nowhere to run. He will have better housing in the next world. Ian is a master of kendo. They have a chance to survive. Because the guy doesn't want to use this art to hurt others. Let them get out. This crazy guy doesn't take reality into account at all. It's unfair to beat the weak. Now this idiot will die. They will take care of the rest. It will be easy. Ian needs their employer. Who did this little bastard call weak? Did it only just dawn on this big guy? The first one rushed at the boy and immediately received a series of precise blows. What was that just now? He beat him up with a mop. And how are they supposed to clean up after this? What is this idiot thinking about? 2 more mercenaries with knives rushed at the kendo master. The first blow knocked the weapons out of the attacker's hands. The second broke their bones. There were already 3 bodies of thugs lying at the feet of the young man. Only the last one remained. The killer's hands shook. What was this guy taking? The main mercenary began to swing his knife and dropped it. The 4th broken body fell heavily onto the floor of the sister's studio. The next day, all 4 sat obediently at the station. The detective checked their criminal records. These individuals are clean. But these thugs were going to kill him at night in his sister's studio. He has no evidence. They can't take his word for it. And Ian used force in self-defense. Ian used a weapon and inflicted beatings. It was a mop. They all have broken bones, and by law his crime is much more serious. The leader also needs to go to the hospital. Let him shut his mouth completely. What nonsense! Ian was defending his life from the mercenaries who attacked him. He brought the attackers here himself, doing all the work for the police. That's not how the law works in Korea, and Yen is now a suspect in the case. He had a weapon. It's considered aggravated assault. This is a serious crime here. The police detective escorted Ian to the holding cell. What's going on here? Ian is registered in Gangneung but lives in Seoul, which means he does not have a permanent place of residence. The detective hopes that the reason why he was detained is clear to him. What the hell just happened? And how new did I get here? Behind the young man there was a well-dressed guy with glasses. The prisoner can bet that this degenerate personally harnessed himself. Yunran is in cahoots with the police, so it is his squad that is on duty. They all made a deal and feed from the hand of this rotten thing. So the guy knows Yunran, unfortunately for him, let Yen tell. The stranger will help him get out once they were a family with this traitor. But Yunran turned out to be a cowardly and worthless degenerate. The prisoner has contacted a lawyer. He will be here soon. The stranger can also get Ian out of here. How he got here. What are the boss's idiots doing? The detective put him in solitary confinement, but not for long. The police can't cover for Yunran forever. Let them lie down. The main character told everything about the murder of his sister. The stranger looked closely. It seemed true. Ian ran into the wrong enemy. A normal person wouldn't be capable of that. This cowardly degenerate has a lot of connections. His rotten deeds are always covered up. And Yunran is just a pawn in all this. But then what to do with such a scumbag? If Ian was going to go against him, he would have to break the law. And the stranger can tell more in detail, by the way. He completely forgot to introduce himself. Marcus Lon, he owns a small bar in Sinsadong. Marcus also does a bit of odd jobs. This means that Marcus is also a bandit, and not all bandits are the same. Marcus was a member of a group. Here he is falsely accused by Yunran's henchmen. Marcus is jailed, then he proves his innocence and gets out. Yunran is not the main problem. He is just a cowardly flunky. There is a crazy sadist, a representative of Vilgefortz. He is at the head of everything. He defeated the boss they served as a password and seized all power. That's when their paths diverged with Marcus. He couldn't stay with the traitors. Vilgefortz is a murderer, and his connections covered everything up. They can switch to informal terms. They are friends in misfortune. But Marcus is older, and Ian is stubborn. And the fact that everyone is silent about his sister's death clearly involves Yunran. This is not the first time this coward has gotten rid of unwanted people. Often the degenerate gets rid of those who are not pleasing to his master, of course. The work itself is done by the stooges. Yunran himself rarely gets his hands dirty. And where can you meet him? Only people of a certain level can meet him. So the boy has only one way out if Ian is looking for a meeting with Vilgefortz's henchmen. And what Marcus means is that the older brother has to go for it. Ian must be prepared for constant attempts on his life and imprisonment. Marcus advises him to live. Ian is still here. His sister would hardly wish such a fate on him. Let him think about it. It's painful and irreparable. But is it worth laying his life on the altar? Marcus can gather his things and head out. His lawyer has apparently arrived. Let Ian be patient. Marcus will get him out too. Well, the morning has come. My back hurts so much from the camera. I could use some coffee and a croissant now. Ian is grateful. No need. He was kept there by force. He is not guilty. Since Yunran is involved in the case will not be pursued. So the guy can forget about the police. And here's Marcus's business card. If the kid decides to stop by, he'll pay for the drinks. Marcus also took only a business card case with him and is dying of hunger. Ian has money. The main character handed his new acquaintance a couple of bills, but Marcus only pulled out one of them. That would be enough for him for breakfast, until the meeting. Meanwhile, the sadistic killer felt like a world ruler in his penthouse on the 80th floor. A representative of Yunran came to them with his tail between his legs. If you look at people from here, they really are like fragile ants. So defenseless and small, they run about their business, not even suspecting that someone could crush any of them at any moment. Larger ants crawl among them and think that this will protect them from the predator. But this is a lie. The detective asks them to lie low. Shouldn't Yunran have done his job properly in the first place? In Korea, such beatings would not be considered self-defense, so they should officially sue Ian. Yunran is a complete idiot. But what if Vilgefortz is exposed in the process? The representative is 5 years younger than Vilgefortz, that's true. Does he always have to spoon-feed Yunran? Let him talk to Suno Havan. For 2 million he will do everything. This bastard's house is in Gangneung. Everything is like that. This means that his old and sick mother is there all alone. She is in the hospital. This means that any neighboring kids can break into their house and smoke there, after which their house may catch fire and burn to the ground. Let Yunran take a photo of his mother with a knife to her throat and send it to this bastard. This old creature has no debts. He's talking about Ian's mother. No. She has a small restaurant. Things are going well. Let him assign a couple of debts to her daughter and demand them from the mother. What difference does it make to anyone if her daughter is already dead? Who will prove that it is not so? And one more thing. Losers are useless for business. Yunran agrees with that. The representative immediately swallowed. He would not let his boss down again. He knew it. How did it all go? Now they are pumping blood out of the organs. The 4 mercenaries got it badly, but they will live. Vilgefortz doesn't need them. They failed. Let them kill them. Now it dawned on Yunran that his boss had no affection for any of them. Why did Yunran remain silent? He is already heading to Gangneung. He will deal with everything personally. After which the representative bowed and immediately ran away. What a coward he is. Damn maniac. Let the driver drive faster. This is the maximum permitted speed. He's going to argue with the representative. Has he completely lost his fear? Pedal to the metal. Meanwhile, the main character's mother was in the hospital in a separate room. On the woman's dresser stood a family photo with her children. Her eyes were tear-stained and empty. The woman's nurse entered her room. The patient needed to eat to gain strength. Lunara will starve herself to death. How many days have passed? There was a knock on the door. Yunran knew the woman's daughter and heard that her mother had been hospitalized. The patient is too shocked to speak. Sorry to hear that. Let the nurse take the gift for Madame Shirin. They need to discuss something with her. So let the nurse leave. But Lunara can't speak. Yunran will just pass something on to her. This guy is so disgusting. Can a patient be left alone with this bastard? Yunran will get straight to the point. Her daughter owes him a lot of money under the contract. His daughter borrowed 200 million won from him under this contract. The mother sees these numbers, but since her daughter died, she couldn't take money from her. The woman began to shake with horror, and the indicators on the screen went off the scale. That old idiot couldn't even utter a word, but she was able to raise such a dirty daughter. This is a contract with the saloon. The woman understands perfectly well what this means. Her daughter sold her body for money and left at the expense of the representative. Now this old witch understood. Lunara clutched her heart. Let him shut his mouth. The old creature must pay this money. The woman was overwhelmed with pain, and a painful cry escaped from her chest. What is this old idiot doing? Lunara spoke up. Not her daughter. Not that kind of girl. Yunran grabbed his mother by the hair. That's exactly what her girl was like. Sleeping with men for money. A cheap girl just like her mother. Her daughter would never do such a thing. Her Relia was selling herself. A tear rolled down her mother's cheek. After which her fingers clenched, foam came out of her mouth, and her heart stopped. The freak let down Ian's mother's hair with disgust. Why the hell did she die? Ian probably can't compete with the mafia on his own should he continue. But what about Relia? The phone rang, and he was informed on the phone of the death of his mother. Meanwhile, the killer was making excuses to the boss, and the old woman suddenly died. Yunran tried to scare her, but she started shaking and died. Let him demand the debt from that same older brother, but that would not be logical. And Yunran suddenly became the most logical performer. He let the boss down again. He will fix everything and sort everything out. And he will also resolve the issue with Yunran's apartment. So what should he do now? This crazy sadist will rip his skin off. Isn't it in this area that Director Venure lives? Maybe it's worth calling him. This is a great idea. This idiot could come in very handy right now. Let him work it off. The next day, Ian held a funeral for his mother. His heart was broken, and now his soul too. Mr. Shirin had a visitor. The same nurse from his mother's hospital came to the young man, and they bowed to each other. How did the woman know his mother? The woman was taking care of Lunara in the hospital. On the very day his mother died, some men came to her room. They told the nurse to leave the room to talk to Lunara alone. When the woman left the hospital room, she ran into a second big guy. He looked like a thug, and this freak told the nurse to get as far away from the ward as possible. The nasty man who came in was wearing a business suit, and the second one was clearly a criminal. Screams began to be heard from the ward. The woman already wanted to run to help, but she was met with a threatening look from the thug. He wouldn't stand on ceremony with the nurse. His mother was very weak. She had not eaten for a week and had not slept at all. Lunara was dead when she returned, and those men had already disappeared from her room. The woman thought that Ian needed to know this. The young man's fists clenched under the table, and that was the answer to his question. He should continue his war with the mafia. Here, photographs and wreaths began to be thrown to the ground by those who came to the funeral of the prostitute's mother. The next 6 of Yunran entered the memorial hall. There was nothing to be afraid of. So the brat is the boss here, and the deceased is his mother, and he is the one they need. Why is the kid frozen? There are absolutely no emotions on that stone face. Has the kid broken down or something? The guy is like a robot? Why are the others crowding around here? Let everyone get out of here. This brat is just a chicken. By the way, his little sister's name is Relia Shirin. Relia stole the money, and he bought out her debt. 300 million. They will take all the donations. It's all clear. Ian doesn't care about money. His little sister would never steal. What a stupid, snotty wimp. You can't tell your older brother about such things. Everyone says so. So what about the debt? The brat is going to pay off the debt. Let him take the house. He already knows about the family's property. This house is burning right now. So his property can no longer be saved. And everything that was inside it too. What's wrong with this psycho? No emotions at all. I even feel a bit uneasy. It is said that some people become numb from shock. That's why he's like this. Ian has money in his safe. Let him give him the address and he'll bring it. As many as 300 million. Well, we agreed. When the brat brings them, right after the funeral. The boy doesn't understand at all what's going on should he open his mother's coffin. Ian will bring the entire amount before midnight today. What's so unclear about that? Okay then, let the guys pack up. They're done here. The Sixes destroyed the memorial hall, took all of the mother's donations and disappeared. That night, in the pouring rain, Ian was already standing at the right building with his trusty bamboo sword. It's 1 minute to 12 o'clock. What about the memorial house? It's already closed. There are no lights on in the windows. The restaurant is also not working. which means that guy simply ran away. Well, if the guy chickened out and didn't show up, then the group has the right to simply kill him in the alley. Why should they all wait here for that brat in full force? There are somehow too many professional thugs for one puny guy. This puppy should be scared when he sees a crowd of them. It's called a scare tactic. The mentor asks for forgiveness. The next tickets are only tomorrow. Tomorrow he will honor the memory of Ian's mother. The teacher has nothing to worry about. He is pleased with your care and memory. And now it's time for his student to go. He will call his mentor back later. Tomorrow they may not see each other, or ever again, thanks to the teacher for everything he did. Well, the boy's time was up, which means the boy simply cowardly ran away from them. After all, the memorial house is already closed. Someone was even monitoring his movements. Sanchos was supposed to be watching this, but he didn't. Are these idiots kidding me? That guy ran away without bringing the money, and Yunran ordered that they deal with him. There are a lot of cameras and witnesses in the funeral home. How could anyone believe that Ian would bring this money? This area has no video surveillance, and before I die it would be great to get some money from it. There was a knock at the door, and the boy had apparently arrived. He would call the boss back. One of the thugs opened the front door, and behind it stood the main character with a sword. The young man with a steely face walked past the group of mercenaries. The boy came after all. So where is the promised money? It's not there. The guy is clearly being sneaky. He's tired of living. The master's eyes immediately lit up. Who is this degenerate working for? Has the brat lost touch with reality or something? Here the boss asks questions. Let the guys break his whole body. The guy asked for it himself. Apparently the boy decided that the guys were joking and mistook their group for liars. The door is closed. The young man has nowhere to run. He is like a mouse in a mousetrap. He cannot live. The world has seen many fencers, but never one like him. Ian finished every round in less than 20 seconds. Fencer Ian Sheeran has achieved the highest level of mastery in kendo. The thugs rushed at their debtor with loud threats. He will die here. The first crunch of broken bones was heard. The mercenary didn't even have time to protect himself from the blow. The crowd of his comrades immediately went on the attack, but a hail of blows from the master fell upon them with lightning speed. The blood of mercenaries sprinkled the walls of the office. What the hell is this kid doing? Some of the thugs began to retreat automatically, sensing some invisible power in the boy. The broken bodies of the mercenaries fell heavily to the floor one after another. What the? Why did everyone freeze and tuck their tails in fear? This is just one person, and there are so many of them, and they all have reinforcement. The leader of the group jumped up from his seat in shock. This brat had taken out most of his men in seconds. What froze? Immediately finish off the brat. The body of the mercenary flew out of the window. The sound of breaking glass was heard. The still warm blood of the thug began to spread across the wet asphalt. The young man dealt with everyone present in this room, except for one. He needs information. The chief begged to spare him. Who does this pathetic degenerate work for? Who ordered Ian from him? The kid shouldn't get involved with anyone from that gang. Behind each of its members there is someone even more influential. They set him up and said they would give him bonds worth 2 billion for 5,000. The leader thought they were real. He didn't know anything else, and who this deceiver was. This guy is based in Seoul and runs a couple of night bars where different girls work. So we are talking about Yunran Sib, the owner of the Fash Bar. How is he involved in this? He's just a flunky who clearly doesn't know all the doings of his employer. Ian got what he wanted. The leader can live. The young man received an answer and will not touch him. What a crazy bastard. How dare he humiliate his group? This kid will definitely die today. The attacker raised a knife over Ian. The kendo master knocked the weapon out of his hand. With one movement, the cowardly degenerate decided to attack from behind. And this is after Ian spared him. Blood gushed from the leader's head. He signed his own death warrant. Meanwhile, a man in a suit came to Ian's mother's memorial hall. The same warm and bright woman, may her memory be bright, looked at him from the portrait. The main character found the establishment of the very young man who got him out of prison. Marcus Lawn met the boy behind the counter of his establishment, and here is Ian, looking exhausted. He promised to buy Ian a drink that time. Marcus is happy to see the boy. Let him come in. Let him sit down. The best girl will be here soon, and Marcus will bring him a drink. Why did Ian come to them so early? All the girls work from 8 o'clock. He's not here for fun. So what brought the boy here? Ian has a request for Marcus. Now that's interesting. Well, let him tell. Ian would like to work here with Marcus. What an interesting choice given his understanding of all things around him. Marcus has no vacancies right now. Ian just needs a place to sleep and food. He doesn't need a salary. What's going on all of a sudden? What happened to him? Marcus was perceptive, and his keen eye did not miss the fact that the boy was in trouble. But Lon is responsible for others in this place, so he can't help the guy. Marcus then offered him something. Marcus said the only way out was to go straight to Ian, and that's exactly what he did. Could it be that the guy really challenged the entire ruling mafia of Seoul? There was no answer to the question, but Ian's silence was much more eloquent. Marcus can't believe the guy did this. It would have been more logical to just move on and give himself a chance. Lon hates Yunran and considers him a dirty traitor, so Yen is on his side. They have the same goal, albeit different motives. What a funny kid. He's already gathering an army. It's all just a dream. Let him drink instead. Ian won't back down. These freaks have crossed the line a long time ago. There are things that someone has to do. If someone hears him, the guy is finished, and so is the one who was nearby. Marcus will pretend that he didn't hear him and save his skin. The main character is left alone with his thoughts and pain. He has no one left. This is not the end. Ian passed out. What's wrong with him? He emptied the whole bottle of whiskey. He's such a lunatic. The guy opened his eyes and a girl appeared in front of him. She looked exactly like his younger sister. It was as if lightning struck Ian. He named his sister's name. Where did he know it from? The guy reached out his hand to the girl's face. How was this possible? She had died, and now she was standing before him again. The girl exchanged glances with Marcus. What is this guy saying? Apparently it was the whiskey speaking, not him. The stranger squeezed the guest's hand tightly, telling him not to worry about anything. He would soon feel better. The protagonist jumped up from the sofa, his sister's name escaping his lips again. Finally, the boy came to his senses. Ian took a long time to come to his senses. He had to get so drunk. The young man felt sorry for the inconvenience. Ian seemed so unperturbed, and then suddenly he got so drunk. Something clearly threw him off balance. Well, it's time for Marcus to get back to his business. Ian said in a cold voice that his mother had died the other day, and Marcus was very sorry to hear that. Let the guy accept his condolences. Mom didn't die. She was killed by these degenerates. The pathetic scum threatened and humiliated the old sick woman. Ian's fists clenched, the veins in them bulging. His mother was already on edge after killing his sister. After that, her heart couldn't take it anymore and stopped. Ian is grateful for the help. It's time for him to go. Maybe someday they will see each other. Marcus is a worthy man of honor despite everything. Let him not lose it. What a bastard, let him stop. Lon doesn't know what's special about him, but he wants to help. The boy has a place to go and sit it out. He lived in his sister's studio, where mercenaries recently tried to kill him. Okay, let him stay here and work as long as necessary. Marcus doesn't know why he suddenly got so fat. They hide in this room from ordered raids, which shouldn't be there now. Why is Ian looking at Marcus like that? He's just cool. Let him not tell others that. His reputation is on the line. And the guy must understand that if he continues to pester Yunran, I will definitely kill him in the alley. Here he is just a worker. Let him work and not put others at risk out of personal revenge. You can't take other people's orders. Ian works for Marcus. He'll cover for him. Ian also has to take care of him and his people, which is how he knows Rilia's name, by the way. Wait, what Marcus just said wasn't a dream. Rilia really was in front of him. The girl's name is Rilia. She works here, and apparently they will start seeing each other often. They are so similar, is it even possible, but still they are different girls, and they have differences. Now the guy saw them clearly. Ian asks for forgiveness. He was mistaken yesterday. He feels sorry. Apparently the new guy confused Rilia with his ex. The guy sighed heavily and did not answer. In the future he would be more careful with his words. What's the matter? Ian just sounds like an old man. He talks so strangely. He's definitely from the 21st century. It gives me goosebumps, and this stupid suit is so unfashionable. Why is Rilia showing such interest in him? Maybe the boy was cryogenically frozen and only defrosted. About 60 years ago, it would have explained a lot, but Ian is just a bit old-fashioned. So the owner of the bar, again, would like to introduce their newest employee to the team. His name is Ian Sheeran, and this is the waiter Hontus. He is 21 years old. This is a waiter named Chal. He is also 21 years old. The guy is glad to meet you. This is their manager named Riley, 29 years old. They have another hot guy, but Marcus has competition. This is a worker, Rilia, real name Shessa. Ian already managed to meet her yesterday. Worker Miruna, 23 years old. She is the most modest of them. But that is not true. The oldest employee is Irene. She is 30 years old, and how old is the new guy? Let him calm down, it's Vapor, 22 years old. What a cute new guy. Ian will definitely like it here. This is Heather's assistant, 27 years old. Puri's assistant, she is 23 years old. The girl is glad to meet them. Marcus whispered to Ian that he should come up with a name for himself too. The others also had pseudonyms for security. The guy thinks for a long time whether to call himself Shiho. Marcus hopes that all his guys will get along with the newcomer. If something is unclear, then let the guy turn to Rilia. Yes, she will be happy to help him. So why is everyone frozen? The boss playfully swung his leg. Otherwise, he would show them his fierce karate. The guys immediately laughed. It was clear that they had an almost family atmosphere. Marcus slipped and plopped down on the sofa. Ian is so innocent, he will soon have to face the harsh reality. A month has passed, and today we don't have to close, because soon there will be a new raid. Every month there are new denunciations. Marcus is sent into custody at such a time. Marcus said that Yunran's henchmen wanted to drive him out of business. They set him up, plant drugs on him, Lon proves his innocence and gets out, and so on in a circle. Why can't they just continue working? Without a boss, they are simply being terrorized here. Only Marcus protects them. They tried, but as soon as the boss is locked up, the assholes come in, threaten them, rob them, and destroy everything around them. It's just that Ian is new here and doesn't know much. They need to prepare for closing. Customers started to be pushed towards the exit. What kind of bar closes so early anyway? The guys will see each other tomorrow. Marcus closes the bar for their safety at his own expense. Who would have thought that among such a rotten environment there would be such a noble heart? Ian will repay him for his kindness. Meanwhile, Yunran was informed that Egan had left the door open and the light on. At the same time, Marcus is still in the pre-trial detention center. Strange as it may seem, he always covers for his own. Yunran immediately dialed his boss. He had an urgent message, again hadn't turned off the light. Marcus has been in the isolation ward for a long time. It's not him. Yunran has completely lost his fear there. The idiot thinks that you can call this number for any nonsense or something. Vilgefortz left this part of the business to him. He himself must resolve such situations. Yunran is becoming more and more useless. Why is the handsome guy cursing so much? The girl was met with the killer's icy, empty gaze, and she immediately turned cold with horror. What happened to that escaped guy? Ian was never found. He disappeared without a trace. The filthy little rat killed so many people and disappeared with impunity. The boss would have personally strangled him. How are things with Egan? Are they really coping without Marcus Lon? The only subordinate of the former mafia boss who has any value is Lon, but he refused to work with them. So what should Yunran do? Let him shut up already, Vilgefortz thinks. Isn't it clear? Yunran himself is not capable of anything. Marcus would become an irreplaceable and valuable assistant to the boss. Despite his visiting character, the boss is cunning. Otherwise, he would not have been able to outwit his previous boss. Let Yunran send Long Jardo Fuck to the club. He understood everything. As for Jardo himself, it's like shooting at sparrows with a bazooka. Under cover of night, a tinted car pulled up to Marcus Lone's club. And then a few more cars. Mercenaries started to climb out of them. Why did they all gather here? There were a lot of thugs. All of them were armed to the teeth. A completely different level. The group blocked traffic on the street and began to chase away random passers-by. Everything is ready. The fat boss, Jardo Fook, tumbled out of the dark jeep. Yunran ordered to deal with the local nightclub of Marcus Lon. They decided to resist. Maybe the employees just forgot to turn off the lights after work. Let two people check. Two of Jardo's men took the rebar and proceeded inside again's bar. Behind the young man lay billiard cues and someone's forgotten rhinestone-studded phone. The brat is new here or something. Is the bar open or working? There was no answer. Today and again it's only food and drinks. The girls are not working. Apparently the new employee doesn't understand what's going on here. There is a new employee working at the bar and he says that they are working. Apparently they didn't warn him. And what should the mercenaries do? Of course, teach this bastard a lesson. Since when did this kind of attitude towards the owner of an establishment appear? Living in fear, walking through a minefield to avoid danger. Once such an attitude has become ingrained, it is difficult to change. And one day the thought will arise that nothing can be changed. This is the end. Have the guys close the door and watch the witnesses around the perimeter. And the brat is apparently really stupid, since he went out alone against an entire group of armed mercenaries. But today the boy will change this attitude forever. Marcus deserves it. The boss just wanted to break all the bones, but now he will kill the impudent boy. The boy is like a mouse in a mousetrap. These degenerates don't understand that they are the rats that got caught in a trap. 4 years ago, Ian, a most unusual swordsman, entered the arena to perform a demonstration. Such gifted people are born once every few centuries. Japan also has its own kendo master, Yuta Shinsuke, who won the championship 5 years in a row. But there is a significant difference between Ian Shiren and Yuta Shinsuke. Yen has honed to perfection not only Ita Ryu, but also Nido Ryu. That is the difference between them. Yuta does not master Nido Ryu. Only this universal genius can use both styles. Nido Ryu is the art of wielding two swords of different sizes. This means that this technique is ideal for fighting against multiple opponents. With his Seto, the master seems to cut his way through the crowd of attackers. Nido Ryu provides mobility during a fight with a group of opponents. The Daito follows the Shoto and prevents the enemy from getting behind. Sometimes the technique is supplemented by synchronized strikes from both hands of the master. One breakthrough from the back. What kind of psychopath is this? He was raised by ninjas. Yen would strike the opponent's wrist with Shoto, a defensive technique that is central to Nido Ryu. Then comes Chudansei. This one who went crazy already took out half of their group. The master struck the mercenary who approached him from behind, waiting for the right moment. Then there is a sword cut. But how can one even get to this device? What are these idiots messing around for? Let them do the job immediately, or stay here forever with the boy. Ian changed position. It was incredible how agile he was. Was such speed even possible? The guy knocked everyone out. An incredible demonstration of some invisible force. Let him not rejoice so much. His strongest opponent is entering the battle. Where did this snot-nosed mercenary come from? Ian takes a Daito strike and counters. After which the master attacks the Shoto. Let the boy immediately answer who he is working for. However, there was still no response, only a series of precise Q strikes. The main character distracted the attacker's attention and made a feint. A scarlet stream of blood gushed from the boss's head. What the hell was that anyway? Then the young man silently approached and eliminated the killer with one blow. The audience exploded with loud applause. All the competitors were lying on the floor. It was a magnificent display of perfect skill. A drop of sweat rolled down the young man's face, and the surrounding area was littered with the bodies of mercenaries. What madness! Jardo Fook was defeated along with his gang of 30 men. Well, apparently Marcus Lon brought more people. Lon is too strong and smart an opponent, that's bad. But why all of a sudden Marcus always sat quietly? He is not bloodthirsty. Where did this rebellion come from? Are they really so confident in themselves, and do they have some kind of trump card? Yunran will deal with them. What a moron he is. Lon knows for sure that they will come for revenge, which means it's a trap. First, we need to assess the situation. Yunran only needs to convey Vilgefortz's words. Marcus froze in amazement. Could this really all be true? Last night, Marcus's bar was raided by some gang, and Ian defended himself. Why didn't the guy just close the door? Wasn't he warned? Lon himself told him not to listen to anyone and do the job. And Ian's job is to protect this place. The young man himself was not the first to pester anyone. And he didn't listen to other employees. Only Marcus's words. So he settled the issue with the mercenaries. The furniture was mostly undamaged, and Ian had already cleaned up the rest. Now it doesn't even matter anymore. There will be a war. We need to be prepared for it. Marcus's blood pressure even jumped. The problems are just beginning. The only thing that was damaged was someone's phone. A thug fell on it. That's Shessie. So this is all empty now. Because of Ian, a bloodbath will begin. What war are we talking about? Let him throw down his mop and stomp over here. This is serious. Marcus opened a bank account and deposited Ian's earnings into it. Here's the card. The PIN code for it is 6795. Ian is grateful. This is his new phone. It is opened in Lon's name. The fee will be debited automatically. That's all Marcus can do for Ian. Now let him run away from here. They had already called him about Ian and told him to hand him over in exchange for Marcus's safety. But Lon will not betray him, even at the risk of his life. It is not in his nature. He cannot leave him here either. Otherwise it will be dangerous for all the guys in the bar. Marcus will say that Ian ran away. This is the only way out. Lon will be fine, we'll see. But there is another way out of this rotten situation. To fight back, to make a statement so that they are not dared to be touched again. They can also set rules. The guy doesn't understand what he's playing with. Why should he ruin his life? He deserves to live it happily. He's like a schoolboy trying to argue with a professor. You have to think rationally. For several years, Ian held a top position in a certain field. We are talking about kendo. In Korea, it is not even a professional sport. Ian speaks about the whole world. He has reached the top of the whole world. Some opponents are not worth running from. They need to be fought back. And the guy really thinks he can do it alone, that's all. Since he is so arrogant, Marcus will explain something to him. Seoul was divided between two factions of snakes and spiders, Donrin Chen and Slime Sone. Suddenly, the leader of the snake faction, Donrin, nominated his successor. During the unification of Seoul, Manjae's successor was killed by a group of spiders. His daughter Cecilia inherited his shares, which were distributed due to the change of power. She received the golden lands of Gangnam as a token of her father's merit. The spiders received the captured territories. She was even promised independence, but Cecilia was not a bandit and handed over all affairs to Pennock. Pennock Walter was a friend of the family and was concerned for Cecilia's well-being. Therefore, Pennock did not interfere with subsidiaries if they paid their fees on time. Then a problem arose in one of these organizations where Marcus worked. Lon then heard the name Vilgefortz for the first time, and he marked the beginning of the end. He gathered Boss Kim Ri, Deputy Gonza, Yunran, and Marcus. He stated that Panuka only cares about money, and that it would be necessary to capture the low-ranking groups. And what does Vilgefortz propose? To hand over Pennock and pave the way for the spiders. They must first take out Pennock and then the spider leader, Slime Sone, in order to take over all of Seoul. There are ambitions, and there is reality. Vilgefortz is just an offended and greedy child who touched the hem of power. Let him do his own business instead of climbing to the top, but that's what he wants. Marcus already understood then that this degenerate would do anything for power, and would bring a lot of problems. The boss had spoken. They had to listen. His deputy Gonza intervened in the conversation. At that time, Yunran held a higher position than Vilgefortz. He only laughed at him. Pathetic cowards. Why do some have everything? And he has to be content with little. He also wants to rule the world. After which Vilgefortz left, slamming the door. What a greedy idiot. There may be further problems with this guy. He has nothing to lose and wants a luxurious life. It's a bad combination. That same night, all of the people of the head of Kim Ri were killed. The killer's eyes flashed in the shadows, and behind him stood a whole squad of mercenaries. Vilgefortz said that he needed to appease his ambitions. He needed to rule all of Seoul. He will creep up on the top and then cut them all down until only he remains. A pathetic, greedy non-entity, he will never be recognized by the world, no matter what bloody path he blazes. A cowardly traitor will never become a recognized ruler, only a temporary shadow. Gonza declined the offer and went to the lower organization of Pennock. Marcus followed his brother. That is, someone above the company president, Vilgefortz, united the remaining mercenaries and expanded his influence. Of Pennock's 17 groups, 13 are already under Vilgefortz. And when Yunran joined this degenerate, the day after the boss died, Yunran was lying at the feet of the one he had looked down on just yesterday. Which 3 groups refused, and why is Ian curious about this? Because they need to increase their numbers and strength. Even if the guy doesn't joke like that anymore, there will still be a lot more of them. Let him get out of here quickly before Junoan's people arrive. And what happened to Shessa's phone? The girl's lips started shaking, after which the worker began to cry and bang her head on the table. If it's the phone, Ian will pay her in full for the repairs. The girl immediately perked up. Is this true? Well, of course. It's his fault. The phone got broken in yesterday's fight. The young man is very sorry that this upset Shessa so much. Let him write a receipt. Everything is fine. Ian will leave a receipt for Chessie. The guys don't feel threatened at all. They escaped, and Kenner Gunkin is still waiting for a personal apology. Somehow Vilgefortz doesn't understand what his people should do now. Everything is as usual. Go straight ahead and kill every creature that gets in their way. Ian wrote a promise to compensate the girl for the damage to her phone. After which he handed the receipt to Shessa. She took it and laughed. It's all right. Shessa tore up the paper. Ian will give it all back to her. The girl just wanted to see his reaction and where Ian was heading. The guy hasn't decided yet, and it's unknown how soon he'll return. In an hour, people from Satkanam will be here. This is one of Vilgefortz's groups. They provide the labor force. If he's curious, let him Google it, but now let's run from here. Let all employees leave here immediately. And what about Marcus? That's his business. Judging by what the young man managed to find on the internet, these scumbags will be here soon. The younger brother said that he had some problems, that's true. Marcus will sort everything out soon. There is no need to worry about him. Wasn't Jardo sent to sort it out? That's what they said, but Marcus isn't sure. There were 30 thugs there. But is one young man capable of taking out a crowd of armed gangsters? Vilgefortz is a sadist, and he has gathered others like him around him. Now we need to lie low to avoid being hit. Gonza would rather get paid for the debt he owed for killing his boss and betraying him. Not right now, but my brother will definitely get his debt. The deputy would like to get to know this psycho better. Let Marcus bring him. Why does brother Ian need him? Marcus has already sent him away, guided by his and everyone's safety. Otherwise, Vilgefortz would not have spared even the girls in his bar. Gonza understands his intentions. Gonza will try to mislead this freak and find out what is required. When Vilgefortz returns from Gangnam, he should have already returned. Does Ian really have to destroy everything in his path every time now? The small room was swarming with mercenaries. The guy came to the right place. The boy had gone to the wrong office. How could they help him here? Ian found golf clubs with his eyes. The young man is looking for a job. They have a meeting now. Let him come later. The master slowly took the club out of his bag. He had just left the Again club. He was working as a security guard. People came and wanted to take him to another place, so Ian had to run away. Wait a second. They sent Jardo there, and the guy supposedly got away from him alive. Let him come down here quickly. We need to take a look at this. But they were getting ready to leave. Here the guy claims that he came back from Eardo whole and on his own 2 feet, and that the mercenary believed this scoundrel. What he only thinks. But this needs to be checked. The guard heard the noise and screams of the mercenaries and immediately rushed upstairs to see what was going on. In front of him stood a young guy covered in the blood of mercenaries with a golf club in his hands. There were broken bodies of the group scattered all over the room. Who is this psycho? Ian towered over the big guy with his head bowed. What kind of power was in this assassin? The guard tried to escape from the room, but a hockey stick immediately flew into his back. Let the big guy drag the guard here immediately. It will be done. Meanwhile, Marcus was preparing for the meeting. Where did he disappear to? Something very bad was planned. Lon went outside. What is this? Lying creatures talked about negotiations but came here to kill. Vilgefortz has completely stopped taking into account borders. Then Marcus shouldn't either. Lushar Fun, they were once one family. It's a pity that they met under such circumstances. And what circumstances does Lushard have in mind? Let him explain. Marcus is as brave as always. Well, at first only the director of Satkanam wanted to come to Lona's club, Vardu Terno, but in reality it turned out that there were many more people willing to do so. As Marcus can now see for himself, however, Lon was not expecting them here at all. Where does such honesty and faith in others come from? He lives in the world of the Mafia. They will remove him, and then his older brother. This way, their boss Vilgefortz will be able to expand his sphere of influence. Cowardly lackeys. One day this degenerate will cut them down too, simply because he was in the mood. Well, now the youngest and most vaunted member of the Snake Group realized what was happening. These scumbags came running at the command of a pathetic psychopath with a grudge against the whole world. What a brave boy. Even in the face of death, he will die today. Meanwhile, Ian was trying to figure out where their boss had gone. Everyone decided that Marcus hired people and declared war on Vilgefortz, and people were sent to him. 50 select mercenaries left for Egane. Lon will not survive. What is the role of the guard? Then he is here as bait, so why didn't he run away? Just in case Lon's men come here to continue the slaughter. They were one family. He felt ashamed. His older brother's Lon treated him well. Meanwhile, the owner of the club again barricaded the entrance to the establishment. What insignificant freaks they are. They came to kill their own clan member simply out of fear. However, Marcus's barricade was destroyed by a crowd of mercenaries in an instant. The thugs armed themselves thoroughly and rushed inside the club. Marcus threw his glasses on the floor and got into a fighting stance. He would not give up under any circumstances. What a boy, Luchard has never seen him like this. He is full of surprises. The boy still has things to do in this world, so this flight is clearly not for him. What are these empty illusions for? As everything turned out, the golden boy will die at the hands of his own brothers. Meanwhile, the protagonist fled to Egain. He must save Marcus. Maybe they should go there too. The big guy wants to become Vilgefortz's enemy and die in agony. Vori is just a small-time bandit. He didn't want to betray anyone. What does Vori do? The mercenary took out his phone and dialed the number. He is obliged to do so. Meanwhile, Marcus had already eliminated the second wave of attackers. What the hell? Around him lay the bodies of Luchard's chain sixes, which meant that Smart Lon was also strong. And where is the justice in that? The girls also call him handsome, and the sound of jaw crunching was heard. Juvenile psycho, it would be better to just accept death. Even if he destroys them, others will come. Luchard threw a piece of rebar at Lon. Marcus dodged it but slipped on the blood. The loss of control meant the end for the fighter, and Marcus's back was rained down with rebar. Well, now this is definitely the end for the golden boy. Such a pitiful end. Luchard ran up from behind and delivered a fatal kick to Marcus's face. A snot-nosed kid with his data could overthrow the top and become the leader. But he is for honest business even in such an environment. The pathetic and naive fool will now pay for his nobility. Then a phone flew into Luchard's face, and he immediately roared in pain. Which of his idiots threw a phone at the boss? The idiots went completely crazy. These are not his people. Marcus saw the phone he gave Ian. He decided to go back for it. What kind of snot-nosed jerk is this? How did the mercenaries let him in here? Could it really be Ian? Marcus told him to save his own skin, and this fool came back to save him. Ian cut through the ranks of Luchard's mercenaries like a knife. What kind of device is this? The master had access to everything. These degenerates need to be put in their place. He promises this to Marcus. He became dear to him. Rivers of blood gushed out and terrifying screams were heard everywhere. Whoever he was, the master's furious power was unstoppable. And Ian is truly from a completely different league. It seems he has the power to change this world. There was already a crowd of older brother Marcus's men standing outside the club again. Gonza rushed here immediately, realizing with horror that with every minute his brother's chances were diminishing. However, Gonza saw mountains of bodies of Luchard's people. Marcus is strong, but not omnipotent. Vilgefortz received a call from Gonza, which meant that the elder Lon had decided to go over to his side. The boss would like to have a talented younger one behind him, but alas. This degenerate's guise filled the whole brothers club. Their blood covered the asphalt and floors. The property was seriously damaged, so the fake boss will have to pay for the damage. What the cretin Lon ate, he understands who he is talking to now. Everyone understands this. It is simply out of fear that most people continue to call the small parasite a predator. Vilgefortz knows about the honor of the Lon brothers, but has not yet encountered their righteous anger. This mutt secretly betrayed the boss, and then the brothers left for another organization. And this group is not afraid of a purulent abscess. Vilgefortz wanted war. Let him prepare to pay the damages. The Lon brothers have always stood out. They are dangerous opponents. Below the wounded Luchard, Lon's men can finish the job. There's no point in wasting time on him. Luchard is no threat to them. Let them leave him to lick his wounds. The main thing is that the little brother is now safe, and those degenerates got what they deserved. If we kill this worthless thing, Vilgefortz will think that they have nothing more in store. Meanwhile, the boss was destroying his office. How dare they go against his will? Vilgefortz did not climb over heads to the Olympus of the Mafia to be brought down to earth again. We need to think everything through carefully. The Lonas are the only ones the groups will follow. Marcus ended up in police custody, but the bar continued to operate, and Jardo also failed. He was sure that they had decided to strike at him, because the Loans had always been peacemakers. His people were taken out by some devil, and Gonza showed up there too early. Senior Long, though a cunning old fox, could not think of everything in advance. Or perhaps there was a traitor among Vilgefortz's people, and he warned Gonza about the order. So this is the same new guy that Marcus kicked out of the club. Ian had nowhere to go and he came back. Marcus also always hides his affection. They are similar, and that the boy himself took out 50 of Luchard's men. Some of them escaped. Impressive. Vilgefortz is involved in the murder of his family. Gonza is grateful for saving his brother and is very interested. And the elder Lon also suggests removing Vilgefortz together, whatever Yen says. Of course, the guy will be glad to find allies on his way. Meanwhile, in his office, Vilgefortz was waiting for the rat with the bat. Director Vuri has arrived. Let him sit down quickly. What's the urgency? Vuri will be alone at the meeting today. Let him sit closer. The boss will ask once of the 4 groups. Only Luchara survived to the end, and even then it was defeated. Some psycho smashed up their office, so his people arrived late. So that's how it is. Vuri's people arrived at the scene and saw the bodies of Luchar's people. And the club already had Lon's gang. There were more of them, so Vuri decided that they simply didn't have a chance. What an interesting story. And where did Gonza's people come from so soon? Why did Vuri's delay take so long? There were only questions about how old the director was. Director Vuri is 45 years old, And why does the boss ask this? This means he is 10 years older than Vilgefortz, but he still hasn't acquired wisdom. The boss rose from his seat and took the bat with him. So it was Vuri who defected to the Elder Lawn. The brothers' charisma really does attract. So what will Vuri choose? To follow the boss's orders or die in agony? Meanwhile, Ian came to visit Marcus. Let them come in. This is not a hospital, as usually doctors in hospitals immediately report people like them. Marcus looks great. His handsome face is intact. Enough already. Let him lie where he jumped. Vuri then handed over Vilgefortz's plans to Gonza. He is on the boss's side, but he still has warm feelings for his brothers. He would like to join them, but he doesn't know how. Why can't they change sides as they did? That's their plan. Vuri was breathing heavily. He would have to follow the orders of this sadist. Otherwise, he would not live. He must make an appointment with Gonza and declare his transfer to him. He will trust him after the information is leaked. Vilgefortz smashed the table in front of the director with his bat. The boss uses Vurius to get rid of the Golden Brothers. Let him contact and say that the boss suspects him of betrayal. And it's better for Vuri not to act up anymore. Otherwise, this bat will break every bone in his body. The director must betray the Lanovs for his own life. He has no choice. And here comes Vuri, as if he heard their conversation. He helped them a lot. Gonza shouldn't trust him completely. He's terrified of the boss. Vuri wants to commit treason and meet with Gonza. Gonza was just about to contact him. Welcome to their club. Marcus doesn't like all this. Vuri could be a double agent. He's not a scumbag, but he's too cowardly. Vuri will later find out the meeting place and contact the Elder Lawn. This is the head of Pasterovum. He was waiting for Vilgefortz's call, but it did not come. His people made a mistake towards the club again. Vilgefortz will make amends and wants to restore relations. Life never ceases to amaze, Vilgefortz apologizes. He offers compensation in the amount of 100 million, and the guy also knows how to joke. This is not a worthy proposal. Pastero will pretend he did not hear it now. The boss will not argue, but he expects as much prudence as the head of Pastero wants. 300 million in all in cash. Vilgefortz crossed the line. Why the hell so much? Or better yet, 500 million in bonds or as collateral. The boss will prepare 300 million. He needs to launder them. He will bring the money personally. He is waiting for a place. By what date will the entire allocated amount be ready? In 3 days at 7 o'clock the money will be with Pastero. Let him send him the address immediately. Vilgefortz called Vuri. Let him make an appointment for 7 o'clock in 3 days. He shouldn't let his boss down. Things are getting serious. Vuri understood everything. This bastard was too cowardly to let him down this time. Well, everything is going well. Finally, Vilgefortz will be able to begin his bloody game. The forklifts delivered new furniture to Marcus's establishment. The old one was covered in blood. And what happened to Marcus? All the staff are worried about him. He got injured, so he handed over the reins to Ian for a while so they could pay for the damages. The bar had been closed for 3 whole days. Ian immediately started counting out the money. He's so sweet. There is not enough money in his account. It was not about money at all. Let him pay it back in another way. Let Ian go on a date with Shessa. She's so bored today. Why? The boy immediately became embarrassed. Let him stop. Otherwise, Shessa will start. Before, they were all one family. But with the arrival of this degenerate, everything rotted. In 3 days, he has some business planned in Namyang, which is too far for a meeting. This is what Director Vuri reported. He is not afraid to trust him. This is exactly what is worth finding out. On the same day, Pastero will make a deal with him. Does he really trust this psycho? He said he would come personally, but Vilgefortz is a snake. Gonza will send his people. Pastero will have enough people anyway. There is no need to waste Lan's resources. Besides, the head has Minso Chaler and Jaren Sego. Let them take one more person. In addition to his unimaginable strength, the boy also turned out to be a loyal friend. And Ian wants to rip Vilgefortz's head off. He killed his entire family. The guy is probably locked in his own dark cave of pain. Ian's life is definitely unbearable. His thoughts cause him pain. In eternal torment and reproach, all he can do is wait for Vilgefortz's death. The girl saw what a nice guy Shessa came with. Let them prepare everything properly. That guy doesn't know happiness and is unlikely to allow himself to experience it. Bon appetit to such a beautiful young couple. Ian is about to burn. What if something goes wrong and Vilgefortz's men finish him off? Ian has nothing to lose. He already knows that every fight he fights could be his last. So if he is sacrificed, it can be attributed to fate. Ian followed behind Shessa. It was the first time he had spent time like this with a girl. Gonza will send a list of names in 3 days. The guy understood everything. He will come to the meeting. Well, why is the young man standing there? They will also go for a walk together tomorrow. He was given 3 days to rest. Let him entertain Shesu for these 3 days. After that incident with the attack, Relia did not leave her brother's side and no longer teased him for his coldness. His little sister also tried to persuade him to go for a walk with her. She so wanted to get closer. The little sister clung tightly to Ian. She was so lucky to have an older brother. Ian patted Relia warmly on the head. Everything was fine. He was close. She didn't have to be afraid and could let him go. The young man is sure that Shessa chose the wrong person for herself. What else should this mean? The girl stamped her foot in resentment. How could Ian displease the girl? Let him say. No need to run away like a coward. Instead of answering, Ian grabbed Shessa by the wrist and dragged him away from the people. Two young men sat alone on the playground. Shessa pouted resentfully. He will continue to remain silent. Ian killed a man. His late mother was humiliated and frightened in her dying moments. His mother was killed, and before that his younger brother was brutally dealt with. So Ian is looking for their killer to take revenge and then turn himself into the police. That's how it should be with these degenerates. Shessa herself would have torn out their throats. That's what she said. People like that need to be killed. But why say such things when you know that Shessa might report them to the police? She says what she feels, not what she does. But Ian always holds back. So that means you don't have to love him, because Ian will rot in prison anyway. That's exactly it. The guy apologizes if he misunderstood her intentions. And he actually likes Shessa. No, that is not entirely true. The girl put her finger to his lips. No need for so many words. It's enough for her that he doesn't hate her. She'll think about the bad when it happens. And what about the future? Let Ian forget about it and just enjoy the moment. She is so stupid next to him and doesn't think about the future. So Shessa will love the one she already likes. She's ready to cry later, but now she wants to enjoy them. Let Ian not push her away. Ian has always been told that he is an expert on unrequited love and insensitivity. Although the guy felt the opposite, would he be able to show something in response? The guy stroked Shessa on the top of her head, and a warm smile appeared on the girl's face. 3 days later, Pasteur's group was already located at the designated location. The gang leader walked past his men, and among them stood a newcomer from Lon. Jaren approached Ian. What kind of hack work is this? Who sent the student? This is Gonza's friend. He is here to help. And who will help him? They meet Vilgefortz. It would be a futile sacrifice for someone else's family to send one kid on such a raid. His face is stony. The guy came to commit suicide or something. The kid won't help here. Let him get out of here. Why be so rude? Minso approached Ian. They would deal with Vilgefortz themselves. If anyone decided to run away, let him hit him with a club. The boy could handle it. Ian understood everything and immediately headed to the point. He looked so cool, but he obediently went to stand guard. This was not his war. He was a guest here. And Pastero has enough people as long as they don't beg for mercy. Minso doesn't like that. Why is Vilgefortz still not here? He is delayed. It is not in his interests. Most likely, this pathetic parasite was simply scared, since he always acted on the sly. The boss's Mercedes pulled up to the group, its headlights blinding Pastero's men. Vilgefortz showed up alone, as agreed, but who are these guys? An unhealthy gleam flashed in the degenerate's eyes. Something was wrong. Here everyone has heard about the boss's lies and meanness, so Pastero played it safe. On the second floor, Pastero hid several dozen people. So Pastero wanted to lock the exit from above and drive the boss into a corner. However, Vilgefortz began to kill right there. He took his bloody hands out of his pockets. The leader of the group jumped up in shock. All his people on the second floor were dead. Pastero has nothing to apologize for. Vilgefortz came to rip his throat out. A smug and greedy degenerate. Minso immediately rushed to defend the honor of his boss. The rest of the group rushed at Vilgefortz, and mercenaries also appeared behind him. Meanwhile, Gonza arrived in a car for the traitor. He is ready to go. Gonza has a bad feeling about Vilgefortz's meeting with the head of his clan. Senior Lon doesn't want to leave Chief Pastero alone, so they need to finish quickly. Now is the most convenient time to change the front, so Vuri called him. Vilgefortz is essentially blind in one eye, so this is Vuri's last chance to get out. And what about his family? Isn't he afraid for them? Vuri is all alone. Meanwhile, the two groups clashed in a brutal massacre. Why are the mercenaries taking so long? Apparently the boss will have to take everything into his own hands. Vilgefortz immediately noticed the strongest among the mercenaries. Minso must be removed first. The boss flew up to the head's bodyguard and struck, sending Minso flying into the wall. Vilgefortz broke all the fingers on his hand. These sweet cries of pain were like music to his ears. After which the former fighter threw Minso over himself and slammed his head into the asphalt. How nice it is to feel blood on your hands. He will pave the way for the others to follow the boss. Vilgefortz rushed to the head of the clan. He needed to join him. But now this was no longer necessary. The second bodyguard, Jaren, covered Pastero with his body. Let the leader quickly leave here. However, Vilgefortz overcame the bodyguard in one jump and dropped the head to the ground. Let him put the seal. Then the sins of the head will become his. Pastero will do everything. Let him just spare him. The old man wanted mercy, but his 4 fingers would be enough for the boss's seal. Vilgefortz will rip the old man's throat out, as he promised. He is here to have fun. The death rattle of the clan leader was heard. Vilgefortz grabbed his Adam's apple, after which the psychopath tore out Pastero's throat. Blood gushed out onto his people. Vilgefortz got what he came for. In his hand was a piece of the former leader's flesh. This is really the end. What should the people of Pastero do now? Their leader is dead. Those who go over to the boss's side will be spared. The rest will be killed. Yunran has to cut off Pastero's thumb for the boss. Afterwards, let him immediately sit down to draw up the documents and go to Penuk. So who's next in line after Yunran? Director Chinto roll. Chinto ran up to Vilgefortz in fear, asking what his next instructions would be. Let the director finish off all the mercenaries who refuse to work for the boss. Vilgefortz returned to his car covered in someone else's blood. Only the seal remained. Meanwhile, the obliging Yunran was sawing off the former leader's thumb with a knife. Yunran wrapped the severed finger in his handkerchief and ran to give it to the boss. Everything is ready. Now Pastero's powers will belong to Vilgefortz. The boss took Pastero's severed finger and dipped the pad in red ink, after which Vilgefortz put the fingerprint of the former head on the necessary documents. Everything is ready. Why is Yunran frozen? Let him step on the gas immediately. They have a meeting planned. So all those who surrender, let them throw down their weapons and kneel. Some of Pastero's men dropped their clubs and knelt, but not all were cowards. The second bodyguard will not serve a pathetic rat. The shadow will never become the original. And who is this brave one here? Jaren will now have only one thing left to do: run. Let the mercenaries kill the bastard immediately! Jaren rushed towards the stairs. What are these idiots standing there for? They want the boss to beat them to death and run after him. Meanwhile, Gonza was already approaching the appointed meeting place. The road was blocked by several cars. What kind of people are these? Gonza got out of the car. What a daredevil. Today, the funeral of the Elder Lon will take place here, and he understands that this is the end for him. Pelin Hugo, Vilgefortz's helpful lackey, continues to rot and decompose. And Gonza is brave for the future corpse. That traitor gave him up and brought the murderers here. Elder Lon assumed that Vuri might have been intimidated, so what should he do? Gonza has no choice but to fight. The Lona brothers are straight out of the pages of fairy tales. Jaren shouted for Ian to open the emergency exit doors quickly. A piece of rebar immediately flew into his back. The bodyguard lost his balance and fell. Apparently, this is how Jaren will die, going after his boss. What is the kid doing? Let him save himself. Ian follows Minson's order. The moment has come. None of Vilgefortz's men will leave this parking lot. The master will meet each of them here. Meanwhile, the Elder Lon knocked out the boss's mercenaries who raised these damn lawns. The people of Palan can't even get close to this bastard. What should they do? The leader of the group ordered his men to disperse, since they were so worthless. Pilan challenges the impudent bastard to fight him one-on-one. So, a knife against Gonza's fists. He can also take a knife, since he is so dissatisfied. Senior Lon took off his jacket and smiled contentedly. He didn't need a knife to deal with a gang of rats. Gonza put his fists in front of him. Palin will finish him quickly. Let the guys not turn off the cars. Gonza's jacket fell on the face of the group's leader. What kind of trick is this? As soon as the mercenary removed it from his face, he immediately saw a fist in front of his eyes. Gonza confidently struck, but then the fighter slipped on a stone and lost his balance. Pelin beamed with delight. Well, now the impudent bastard has been caught. The entire crowd of Pilan's mercenaries immediately rushed towards the fallen fighter. The leader stepped forward with a knife in his hands. It was not worth trusting the rat. Now let the boys give this impudent degenerate a good beating. The boy took the wand in his hands and was going to fight 40 armed mercenaries single-handedly. This is not the first time for Yen. The boy decided to bend over here. Let him run after Jaren immediately. The boys need to finish up here. Otherwise the boss will be worried that they're taking so long with the mice. Well, why is that brat frozen there? He's like a robot in a tuxedo. No emotions. The first thug's head was smashed and his body fell onto the stairs. If the mercenaries asked politely, Ian would spare them. The boy's eyes flashed like steel. What is this psycho taking? Let the guys take this idiot down quickly. The master delivered perfect blows and eliminated one wave of mercenaries after another. Jaren pressed himself against the wall. How is this possible? Who created this machine? At the feet of the main character lay another mountain of broken bodies. Every time it's the same thing, why can't we just be polite? Let this psycho not come closer. You can't beat people like that. But killing and ripping out their body parts is okay. That's it. Chinto surrenders. The director kneels before the boy. Meanwhile, Vilgefortz washed the blood off his skin. It would take a long time. He was already tired. I need to hand over the documents to Pennock, whoever he is. It's a shame I have to grovel before someone else. Meanwhile, Pennock sat in his office on the 40th floor. This greedy brat with documents is about to arrive. He causes a lot of problems. Vilgefortz changed his clothes in the car. There shouldn't be any trace of a showdown with members of his own clan on him. Pennock must not learn of his betrayal until he has found an opportunity to remove him. The administrator led Vilgefortz into the office of the representative of Pennock. The traitor obligingly bowed and greeted the boss. Pennock disgustedly ordered him to hand over the documents. Vilgefortz carefully handed the documents to Pennock's assistant, after which the killer noticed a certain man on the office sofa. The stranger's strong gaze immediately cut off Vilgefortz's curious eyes. Meanwhile, the Elder Lon managed to escape from the circle of mercenaries and escape into the forest. Gonza rushed towards the thicket where he was heading. They weren't finished here yet. Senior Lon had a fun time, but it was time for him to get back to his business. Here Gonza again stumbled over a root under his feet. What a day this is. The mercenaries were far behind their victim. Could Gonza really run that fast? Then his car appeared behind Gonza and a horn was heard. Vuri opened the passenger door and told Gonza to quickly jump into the car. Well, Gonza doesn't have any other options anyway, so it's still worth a try. What is this idiot standing there for? Let him jump quickly. They need to hurry. Pastero is in danger. It will be easier for Elder Lon to defeat one Vuri instead of a crowd of armed killers. Gonza slipped into the car roared away, leaving the mercenaries behind. Pennock began to check Vilgefortz's dubious documents. Here the chief noticed traces of blood on the piece of paper, nothing surprising. And the guy will continue to insist that Pastero signed these documents voluntarily. Of course, Vilgefortz will not go against his own people. Then what are the documents stained with? The seal is the red ink of the former head seal. And the rumors about Yunran that have been spreading lately are true. Rumor has it that the director is recruiting Pennock's subordinates. What an idiot, he failed again. These are rumors. They know him. They even drink sometimes. This is what is most alarming here. Yunran has always been a weak-willed cretin. He needs a firm hand. Let the brat remember, as soon as he crosses the line, he will be punished not by Pennock, but by the Spider Clan. Why would Vilgefortz commit treason? Droy provides him with a good life. So he will be more careful. He does not want to cross Jordan's path. Yunran has a talent for recruiting cowards. This helped get rid of the slag. He can go. Let Vilgefortz follow his assistant. The stranger watched the traitor with a distrustful gaze. Droy saw the face of this rat. He is clearly afraid of Pennock. This is only for now. And this offended brat made so much noise it's hard to believe. Pennock is grateful to the spiders for their help and control of suspicious movements in his territory. But all this is unpleasant. Pennock himself can deal with some power-hungry brat. Panuku shouldn't deceive himself. A snake even in sheep's clothing is a snake. Are only those who have gone all the way from beginning to end worthy of ruling this world? Vilgefortz can simply kill them all and take their throne, and no one will stop him. The Pennock is not a threat at all, but the spiders are a very dangerous and more experienced opponent. Director Chinto calls. Vilgefortz took the call. He finished there. However, a completely different steely voice came from the phone and did not finish. Ian has only just begun to exterminate all the stinking rot that this degenerate is spewing out. Well, who is this brave one here who is interfering with Vilgefortz's work? Let this worthless thing get used to it. From now on, Ian will always be in his way. What a cheeky boy. Vilgefortz will help a suicide get closer to his goal. This degenerate never understood. Ian is his end. It's time to pay for his sins. Who is this impudent bastard? His voice is like steel. He is like a killing machine. Vilgefortz, under the name Minufant, was a member of the national judo team in the 90-kilogram category. He killed his partner during a chokehold, and the sport was over for him. But he came to an agreement with the family of the deceased. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison and was released at 25. He changed his name and returned to the sport, but his details surfaced and he was immediately disqualified. A year later, Vilgefortz became the head of security in Gold, and then he betrayed his boss and expanded his influence. His entire path consists of endless murders and betrayals. Soyan's group, Hilan Prey, is a power-hungry and recognition-hungry psychopath. What will Droy say about the idea of making Vilgefortz the key figure of the Soyan group? He was fishing for authority for his own ambitions. The road to success cannot be opened for such people. Jordan is as serious as always, but the boss thinks so too. First, we need to deal with Pennock before he becomes a threat with his willful blindness. The head must run the business, and not just count money with his eyes closed. So Pennock turned out to be too minor a character for the post of head. Droy would like to draw the head's attention to one more point. Jardo and Lushar from Vilgefortz's group suffered total losses. The gang leaders are completely broken and cannot even move their limbs. Apparently a revolution has begun in the empire of this fake. This is great news. They better not interfere and lie low. However, this psycho cannot be left without the group's attention, since it is unlikely that any of the small gangs will openly challenge him. Droy, along with Horsch Lone, are ready to continue watching him. The guys will figure out what to do based on the circumstances. No more instructions or reports, just let them inform when the matter is decided. Soyan Chairman Borden Crowley will be performing. There are interesting turns ahead for his company, and this opportunity cannot be missed. No matter how long the guys have been working in normal mode, there is no end to the number of clients. And when their boss arrives, Marcus has already returned from sick leave. The boss is now in the office with others. They have an important meeting there. Marcus really does look great, like a bunch of mercenaries just came to say hello to him. There were 4 people in the office, the Lona brothers, Ian and the trader Vuri. All rights to the brand and business are transferred to the Lones. Marcus has just been discharged, and then there is another assassination attempt. By the way, after the telephone conversation, nothing has been heard about Vilgefortz. Although he looks stupid, he is very cunning. The quieter the killer is, the stronger the blow he will strike later. Well, what should they do? Vilgefortz has probably already planned the next assassination attempt. Vuri thinks so too. Especially after his betrayal, the boss will lose his temper. Gonza knew from the first days that Vilgefortz would stab the family in the back, but Vuri had no idea. He had successfully deceived him. He would have a chance to improve. And Ian can speak his mind. This killing machine doesn't have to ask permission anymore. As far as the guy knows, Seoul is dominated by a powerful gang of spiders. Its board of directors consists of 12 people with varying levels of power. One of the directors is Pennock. He created 17 subordinate organizations. Large companies such as distribution are controlled by 4 other organizations. Accordingly, it is these figures that stand in the way of Vilgefortz's rise to power in their order. Even if he removes Pennock and expands his influence further, This does not guarantee his victory. All the following chapters are much stronger and more experienced. He will have only 2 places to choose from, where Vilgefortz can move on and the other council members will simply sweep him away. Then Vilgefortz will turn his attention to the province, sensing an insurmountable obstacle. That's what this degenerate will do. That's what he said before killing their boss. Seoul is already occupied by spiders, so he will take over 2 provinces, Pandan and Flode. This is all just the delirium of a crazy tyrant. Not at all, Vilgefortz will do exactly that, so they must take the provinces first. What Ian said is crazy. They don't even have the resources for that. In Seoul, this freak's obstacle will be spiders, and they will block his escape routes. Then they will cut off the flow of his capital using his own methods. And eventually they will eliminate this scumbag. The shadow will go into darkness. Well, what will everyone present say about this? The older brother has gone crazy. He really believes in their success. Let the younger one turn off his prudence and put his hand down if he goes crazy with them. Ian was the first to put his hand down. He will go to the end with Gonza. The second was Viri. The traitor had nothing to lose anyway. Either he would be killed, or he would try to turn the degenerate over. They are not comparable in strength and connections. It would be like a mime challenging Bruce Lee. The trio cast stony glances at Marcus, praising him for already grumbling. He had already made a decision. Marcus is just thrilled to be part of this madness, so let it be recorded that way. Junior Lon put his hand on the rest. He's in. Suicide Squad forward. Well, since all 4 of them made the fatal decision, now they can order chicken. The boss has been sitting in his office for 3 days now and hasn't moved. His assistant has already started to worry. Vilgefortz sat in pitch darkness and watched the movement of the city. This is Yunran. Let them connect. The director is inspecting the plant right now. Well, what does Yunran want to tell you? The club refused. They said that they have a different form of share distribution. And how different it is. Gonza got this business and its shares from Vuri. The difference is that the controlling stake is now in the subsidiary of Again. And Gonza bought it, so they have no reason to interfere with the process. After comparing the date of their contract with the date of the stock purchase, the boss chooses not to interfere. Let Yunran not interfere. There is Vilgefortz's man among them. Everything is going so well, fools. Do mice really think they can outsmart a tiger? Vuri wasn't even punished for his betrayal, so why is the boss so clinging to him? Apparently Yunran wasn't told something, and this Vuri still plays some role for the boss. What was this damn degenerate planning? So in Penuk's 17 divisions, there were only 2 candidates, Gwynedette Fool and Ors Devuya, and the Elder Fox Lawn will be counting on their support. A group of Lawns will meet them at one of the designated places, very convenient for mass murder. These cretins will probably need some outside help as well. As soon as the cat went into the shadows, the mice started dancing. Something interesting was brewing. Pandan Province, Yen and Marcus immediately set out to acquire resources. They were almost there. Junior Lon led his comrade into an alley and pointed his finger at the office they needed. Why is it so quiet and empty around here? This is the first signal of danger, which means they are there. The guys got up and went into the HR department, where they were met by a motley crew of characters. What are these 2 other graduates? Director Ornan Krut is here. It depends on who's asking him. These 2 are new to them. Well, almost. The director calls. 2 people need to be brought to the blue karaoke room. He will do everything. The big guy told the 2 workers to quickly go to the blue room. They would just powder their noses. What beautiful boys came to them. Maybe they will also go with them. Claws away from the new ones. They are not new. Then get out of here if they value their pretty faces. Marcus put his glasses in his pocket. They are here for discussing business matters. If the guys decided to open their own karaoke here, they could have just called here. There's no need for personal meetings. Marcus was interrupted by Ian. They are here to expand their influence in Seoul. They will start with Pandan Province. That's why they're looking for someone to subjugate. Ian learned diplomacy from action films. Did these clowns decide to commit suicide, or did the girls quit or failed their exams? Ian is happy with the result. Great job. They are like family now. Bandits who bully other people may also be afraid of bandits. That is, the pretty boys in suits came here to take over the business from the grown-up men. That's right. Ian is as straightforward as a battering ram. But he shortened the time between him and Marcus. Why not just go straight to the top of Seoul with a bazooka? Since everything is so simple, the guys won't live to see graduation. They are not school children. And that is, on this occasion, Ian decided to speak out. The big guy flew out the window. It hurts so much. It's so big and round. It should have landed softly. The guy's head should have been checked. Marcus folded his arms in displeasure. He had seen one fighter seal a relationship with blood before, and this was not the answer. Ian finished quite quickly as expected from this car. The big guy hid behind 2 girls. What did those young businessmen want? Marcus and Ian were brought into the meeting room, but it was impossible to listen right away. A group of thugs approached them. How friendly, after all. Ian had taken out their comrades 5 minutes ago. The big guy brought his boss to the guys. And here is Ornan Krut. These are these diplomats. What kind of cute little brats are these? The head of Starpa in Pandan Province. So the kids decided to play war and create an alliance with them. This has never happened before in history. A rebellion of young blood means the director is listening to them attentively. So their clan owns establishments in Sinsadon. Why is Marcus explaining something to him? There is no talk of any alliance. What this assassin is talking about, they must strengthen ties and gain strength. They don't have to waste time being nice. They can just take it away. Ian can simply take away the power. That's exactly what the first one who went crazy said. Of course, Marcus is right, but they have very little time to strike at the boss. The boys know that Ornan is actually still here and can hear them. What will happen if they refuse? This was a warning. There will be no others. Well, that's it. The director turned on this device. The brat doesn't take reality into account. From now on, this clan is subordinate to them. What did this schoolboy accept? Does he even understand what he is saying and to whom? In the next few minutes, he will have nothing to do it with. It is foolish to waste time on concluding peaceful and mutually beneficial agreements. They are just savages. You just need to subjugate them and immediately expand your territory. Ian noticed a microphone by the karaoke bar counter, quite fortunately. Meanwhile, the elder Lon greeted the new guest and immediately froze. Vilgefortz came to his club. And what this degenerate is doing here, it's not a good sign. Is it already Judgment Day today? The boss came alone to talk. Let this sociopath stop groping girls and emptying Marcus's bar. Senior Lon has no reason to worry. The boss is not here for this, but for Gonza. This is not the kind of attention that is pleasant, but Gonza did not miss it at all. The Lona brothers. How Vilgefortz wanted to see them behind his back, the only worthy members of the clan. It is rather foolish to penetrate the enemy's lair alone. Everyone knows about the honor and nobility of the Lones. The boss is safe here, since he worked in gold, where each element was subordinate to the other. Well, what should this mean? It's that the world was already created this way and hasn't changed. The order has long been established, and everyone obeys it, but one rat still raised his hand against the boss. It's just that Vilgefortz himself wanted to become the head of the order, and split the old one to create a new one. There is a fight for power up there, and they must obey the new master. Gonza himself is not tired of it. So Vilgefortz did the same thing, just on the sly. The Lonas have always been a brave and wise breed, and are not tired of groveling before greedy old men. In return, this degenerate offers to dance under the command of a sadist and a traitor. Promotion is not his thing. The top has something that Vilgefortz will never have. Whatever the case, the boss still wants to become the master of the world and will do so. The poor guy's greed has obviously been progressing all this time. It will never be enough for him. Donran Cheng, Slineson, Penuk, even their names reek of mothballs. Only these old people have the right to own this world. They not only own it, but also rule it. What is not given to Vilgefortz? His whole being thirsts for power and recognition. No one will stop him. The sociopath wants to surpass the two largest gangs in Seoul, and he is not afraid of death. To get what you want, you have to risk your life. Can there be anything more important for a man? And why does Vilgefortz tell the elder Lon about his dreams? The boss wants the Lon brothers to finally join him. He really needs brains to rule the world. Together they will create a completely new world. No one will dare to go against it. How can you want to deal with the rot that secretly killed the one who raised you? This is just a past stage. Can the path to world domination be paved without bloodshed? Why does Gonza submit to the order that others have created? And why condemn someone who only wants to establish a new one? Because he is a cowardly traitor. Gonza can barely restrain himself from killing him. The Lani are so brave and passionate they could have been at the origins long ago. Gonza simply raves about his nobility and honor, but it's all a myth. Blackmail is a method of the strong in this world. It will always be a manifestation of weakness. Vilgefortz left the elder lore. He pulled the right strings. It was time to leave. Then the killer caught sight of Shessa, and the girl immediately froze in fear. If the pretty girl wants to stay alive, then she should quit this job as soon as possible. What did that psychopath just say made the girl's hands shake? Meanwhile, at the Pandan provincial office, Yen finished business negotiations. Broken bodies of future allies were scattered everywhere. Who is this psycho? Apparently, the question of this clan joining can be considered closed. Let Director Ornan bow his head to his new bosses. This is the kind of relationship they have. They rule and his clan obeys. Marcus was as gloomy as a storm cloud. This method was only one way and was disgusting to him. Let the director sign the equity participation agreement and take his people. Ian really doesn't understand what he's doing right now in his attempt to get to his family's killer. He demonstrates the difference in strength and quickly subdues the weak. Marcus growled that Ian was the spitting image of Vilgefortz, intimidation and blood being his constant choice. The words of his friend made Ian think, Marcus is someone he wants to look up to in many ways. Is he right? Marcus always tells it like it is, and this is not the path he wants to take. Ian apologizes for today's carnage. He was wrong and is grateful that he was stopped. Marcus had been through this before, and today it was like going back in time again. Ian is haunted by his words. He doesn't want to have anything in common with the killer. This is not his way. He has always been strong and peaceful. He knows how Slineson made his presence known in Seoul. The Spider Clan chief attacked Donran Chen and Crivo Gonzalo. Donran was a simple street fighter who quickly gained influence through his enormous power. Sline was a country bumpkin from Gangwon-do, but he still made his way to Seoul. On his way, he met Shirai Yuglan, who deliberately gave simpletons impossible tasks. Shirai ordered Sline to return his former establishment, karaoke. The building where it was located belonged to the Hwanggan, to which Shirai Yuglan belonged. However, things went very badly, and the director lost his establishment. Sline and his assistants sorted it out in one day and returned karaoke to Shirai. In return, he demanded that the karaoke bar become the base of his clan, and that he be exempted from paying rent. Then Sline put his life on the line and made the elite look at the rednecks differently, after which Sline's influence increased dramatically, and he earned the respect and recognition of other groups. That is, his strategy was precisely to win the trust of people they followed him themselves. Sline never got into a fight first and always defended even other clans if someone was attacked. It was thanks to Sline that the East Sea organization started talking about them. The Eastern Sea said that their clans were famous for their respect for the enemy. Now Ian realized that force was needed to win the trust of his followers. Power captures hearts, and this is the only way to gain real power, not false and temporary. And at that time, Ian is simply torn apart by the thirst for revenge, isn't he? The guy better not use Marcus and his brother for personal revenge. He will never forgive him for this. In general, the guy's negotiations were quick and laconic. Wait, this degenerate showed up at Marcus's club alone. He knows the brothers' nature well. They have never been criminals and will not kill loners. But still, his behavior was brazen and threatening. Ian clenched his fists. This degenerate offered to join his ranks and sang their worth with his brother. But in essence, he is looking for an excuse or a reason for his future plans. Next week, Marcus will meet with another representative of the province. This all smells bad. Ian is sure that this degenerate is not so simple. He is planning something. And this appearance is probably a trap. But what could Vilgefortz achieve with this? There's clearly something fishy going on here. It's not like this degenerate at all. He kills for refusing, doesn't he? These usual sudden conversations serve as bait to distract attention. This psychopath knew perfectly well that the Lonas would refuse him. Would he come here for this? There is something else here, which means that this rotten thing wants to lure them into a trap, not them. It's about those with whom they cooperate. His visit will sow alarm so that they will hurry with alliance agreements. This really makes sense. Then all the enemies will be in the palm of your hand. And all the enemies can be killed at once. That's what it does. This degenerate planned mass murder and only made his task easier. When Director Pennock is removed, there will be two left. Gwyndet Fool and Orsay de Vuya. They are most likely already aware of Vilgefortz's activities. And probably the groups already felt threatened by it. Maybe we should contact Gwynedeth Fool. We shouldn't do this. They eliminate anyone who comes into contact with their targets. It is better not to interfere. For Vilgefortz, they are empty space. If they just sit back, he will displace Fool and Devuy. But you need to have a convincing argument for the other groups. They need a plan. Now they are only at the very beginning of this difficult path. They can drag it out for 2 weeks. During this time, they must establish as many alliances as possible in the suburbs and manage public opinion. Let Vilgefortz think that they do not have the strength to challenge him. Well, what will their clan do next? Because then only slaughter will remain. They will help Fulu and Devuya when the degenerate attacks them. Then they will show their strength. What does strength mean? Ian will listen to the advice of one wise guy with a pretty face. What a bastard! Strength is needed to win the trust of supporters. The only force that can bring real power. They must ignite the hearts of the allies. Then they will trust them completely. Meanwhile, at Gedriel Ron's office, the leader was furious. The subordinates asked the boss for forgiveness. But how much longer will they repeat the same thing? The girl grabbed the pointer and swung it. One of the assistants shrank in his chair. This will not happen again. The head scratched the back of her head with a sign with her name on it. She already knew it. Lieramond, a representative of the Gedriel Ron clan. They no longer have a chance for error. Before his death, the father said that his daughter could only trust Jose Dona. And Lara needs to trust Jose after such a failure. It could cost them a lot. Let him just find the house of this Vilgefortz, his roots, and eliminate the degenerate. He has 3 houses. The same car leaves all of them at the same time. And this freak is very strong. It's hard to get to him. And what they're suggesting is to wait until he dies of boredom and comes to them himself. And why does Funo's representative Dirk not want to cooperate with them? The stubborn one is in the same position as they are. We need to stop the degenerate before it's too late. Well, Funo's representative Dirk said he wouldn't work with women, the fucking moron. How annoying this damn world of male vanity is. Liera threw the sign on the floor. Sexism is rampant in this country, and it's getting worse. Vilgefortz's people are a crowd of cheap and stupid thugs. Cannon fodder. They can turn to Pinnock. He will do everything for money, so maybe it would be better to come to an agreement with Rupovine or Angrunda. It would be wrong to interfere in Pinnock's affairs. These people serve under him. Damn, what do we do then? They have someone smart. We need to hire someone. They need to strike first. Well, there are also the Lona brothers. They were always singled out by the elite, and they refused Vilgefortz. And even after the refusal, this degenerate does not interfere in their business, which is surprising. Rumor has it that the Elder Lan has a horde of some super strong mercenaries, which is why the boss doesn't touch them. Liera had heard that the brothers were known for their quiet strength and effective strategy. Why are you standing there? Let them immediately look for these brothers and arrange a meeting. The Lona brothers came to taste their favorite dish and ordered noodles from Uncle Earl. This guy is a real bastard. He flaunts Marcus's words so easily. Gonza immediately recognized the power of his younger brother's words and why he was so angry. The older brother is being too protective of their killing machine. 2 days ago, Ian kept saying that Vilgefortz would soon attack 2 districts, and that the guys should get ahead of this freak and capture the 2 provinces first. And now this psycho just changed his mind. Apparently he listens to Marx. And he considers him a friend. Just like Marcus considers him his nonsense, Ian uses them for his own personal purposes. That's not quite true, then they use him too. Ian only thinks about revenge. And as Marcus sees Vilgefortz, he is not just a sadist and a murderer. Gonza thought about this when this creature showed up alone at their bar. Vilgefortz simply knew that his brother wouldn't touch him. That's just their nature. But even if this freak had thought it all out, it takes a certain amount of audacity. The freak is simply confident in his invincibility and tucks his tail only in front of the top. Uncle Earl brought out 2 servings of freshly brewed aromatic noodles. Elder Lon thinks that Vilgefortz really wanted to put pressure on him. He wanted the brothers to run to the remaining groups for help. Marcus also thinks that the degenerate decided to cleanse the ranks of those who would not agree to be behind his back. And then he will say that he gave his brothers a chance, but they chose other clans, so they will die. This psycho loves this kind of theatricality very much. He should not be underestimated. Vilgefortz is a complete scumbag, but at the same time he tries to make others look bad. They will form an alliance on the outskirts. When Vilgefortz attacks the heads of the 2 provinces, they will give battle. But there is one important nuance in this scheme. How will they know when this will happen? They will look for a loophole. Who knows how everything will go? Maybe the plan will fail altogether. If Ian's predictions start to crumble and the plan falls apart, the brothers will face serious losses. Gonza doesn't think the plan is reliable, so why can't we just discuss it? Now he just won't listen to the Elder Lon, that's all. But as soon as he experiences the consequences of his mistakes himself, he will immediately understand. And when rage and pain overwhelm him, Ian will become Gonza's tool. Okay, stop. Ian is incredibly strong. His punches are like something out of a movie, but he needs help, not more fire. A representative of Lear was already sitting in the corridor of the Lon brothers' establishment. Vuri stared at the stranger in shock. What a woman. The brothers finished their lunch break and entered their establishment. Director Vuri and manager Yen can go on vacation. They will replace them. There a girl came to the Lon brothers. The guys saw her bare knee and froze. What kind of strange phenomenon is this? Liara clicked her tongue in displeasure and rolled her eyes. Well, who is this girl? The brothers knew her father, Gedriel Ron. Liara is his heir. So, in front of them is the new president of the company, Sina. His father died 3 years ago. And the guys are still surprised by the new face. The brothers apologize. Enough of the lyrics. Liara wants to strike Vilgefortz before he strikes them next Wednesday. But why such a rush? You need to prepare properly against the boss. It is necessary to think everything through carefully and check their plan for weak points. I mean, Liara is in a hurry. Actually, they were already late. He heard Sin's story. He had a chance to kill his opponents, but Santos soon left him. It was not time yet. They waited. In the end, they were exposed and killed. Although one swing of the sword and the problems are solved. What kind of old wives' tales are these? She's so strange. Liara is once again too engrossed in the history of the Hosean dynasty. The chairwoman put her leg up on the table and invited Gonza to create his own history. What was this lady taking impulsive movements and incoherent speech? But how can their little clan help? Everyone is talking about their army of super killers. This is a serious exaggeration. The Lonov brothers have only one special assassin. What is he saying? It means that the Elder Lord does not want to cooperate with Liara. It's better to contact the remaining groups. Their leaders don't like that she's a woman. But Liara will deal with them later. First Vilgefortz. The refusal greatly disappointed her. The clan simply won't be able to cope with their scale, and Vilgefortz is unlikely to approach them. They are small for him, but in the alliance it is still better, and still Gonza refuses. It's not about Liara. They just don't have the resources to fight right now. They defeated a huge number of people in one fell swoop, and then suddenly they got scared. The Lara clan is now on its own. The Lons have refused to join. Have the assistant gather all of Vilgefortz's men next Wednesday. Earlier, the boss ordered to find a champion fencer for him, and such a person was found. Her name is Watanabe, and she uses the longsword Sadakuda. Vilgefortz wants to see this killer in action. And Vilgefortz has grown up there, since he gives orders. He's bigger than him. Let him carry out orders. Let him not forget about the case for the new killer with a sword. She is also needed on Tuesday. And some people should also go to Padin province as soon as possible. There are mice there. Let the killer show his skills on them. Ian can take part in the fight between the chairwoman and Vilgefortz. They can't remove the entire spider nest now, but Vilgefortz is only getting stronger every day. Ian doesn't need to think about it. They will take care of it. It's better to let him work at the table. Pandan Province. A longsword-wielding assassin has risen to the Lon Allies' office. The fencer has no personal claims against them. She just needs someone to show her skills on. Does anyone know in Japanese what she is talking about and why this secretary has a sword? Let the guys drive this crazy girl out of here. We don't need her here either. Vilgefortz's assassin drew her sword from its sheath. Time to stretch her legs. With one sharp movement, the fencer raised her sword above her head. What is this psycho doing? A couple of swings of the sword, and everything around was strewn with bloody corpses. She leaves no one alive. The fencer wiped her blood-stained glasses. The boss will be pleased with her work. 10 seconds were spent on a group of traitors, not a single survivor. The head of the second group of the province went up to Ornan Krut's office. He wanted to introduce him to the Lon brothers. Porton Segan, Jidan's boss. What the hell happened here? Who is capable of such atrocity in the modern world? Commander Kavor Mainan pointed to the director's colleague's head, a warning. Gonza's phone rang immediately, and the elder Lon immediately became gloomier than a thundercloud. Let Vuri get ready. They urgently need to get to one place. The older brother almost knocked the younger one off his feet. What's going on? Where are they rushing off to? They will be back soon with Vuri. They urgently need to see something with their own eyes. At such times there are practically no clients, and how can one earn a living in such a regime? And Marcus was told that Irene was going to another place today, and it was getting worse by the hour. The oldest worker again put out her cigarette. This was her last day here. Such a warm place. But Irene needs money. Where is she going? Marcus is the best boss in the world, but his business is dying out. But she needs money. The younger Lon will come up with something. Let him think about it. They are already a family. Marcus really does take care of everyone like a father, but he can hardly give her 200 million. Irene understands that they don't give that kind of money for ringing laughter, and that Marcus won't be able to cover for her there. She just came to say goodbye. Irene loves the boys, but money is much more important to her now. Let him at least say where Irene was going to go. Marcus will find out about this place through the channels. The girl herself doesn't really know. This club has a share in K Entertainment. It was as if a lightning bolt struck Marcus. A dark place for such work. This club is frequented by investors from the entertainment industry, and the girls earn 500 million a day. And people are disappearing in droves. Vilgefortz owns such a club and openly cooperates with K Enter. Irene is grateful to Marcus for everything. They need to at least send her off with honors and sit somewhere. It's somehow sad to just let Irene go. She won't leave then. It was nice to meet her. Yenna too. Good luck in her new place. Her old colleagues will miss her. If Irene earns a lot, she will definitely treat them all to something. Let this place be fine. But without Irene, it's time for her to fly the nest. And what do you need to do to earn 500 million in one day? Vuri grabbed the handle. The speed of the car was too great. Where were they flying like this? The traitor knows who has become an ally of their clan in the province. Who even knows what path the guys are taking and where they are building up their strength. Sweat began to run down Vuri's face as far as he knew to no one else. News just came in that Onran and all his men were dismembered right in their office. After everything they had to go through, did Vuri really decide to betray the Lon brothers? Vilgefortz forced him to infiltrate the Lons. Otherwise, he would have been killed on the spot. Vuri had to get him information from the inside. To do this, Vilgefortz ordered him to pretend to be a traitor, and then change his mind and ally with Gonza during the assassination attempt on him. The mercenary created the right atmosphere and allowed them to hide so that Vuri would be accepted into the ranks of the brothers. Vilgefortz ordered to use the trick of betrayal twice. It would look natural, and Vuri would definitely be believed. In the fight for one's own life, all means are good. Vuri just wanted to live. Vuria also feels sick of himself. Up to what point did he manage to convey everything to Vilgefortz? This means that the traitor managed to leak absolutely everything that he knew. Here, Vuri's regretful gaze suddenly changed to an empty and cold one. The traitor pulled a knife from behind his back. He is just a mouse clinging to his life. Vuri pierced the elder Lon's hand. What is this idiot doing? They will break like this. The traitor asks for forgiveness for everything. The Lonas are unusually good people, but he also wants to live. The elder Lon's car crashed into the fence at high speed. The rear part of the car's body skidded, and it hung in the air at a great height above the highway. Gonza got out of the car. His injuries are not that serious. He needs to move away from the car. Why is Vuri standing there? The car is about to fall off the cliff. His leg is stuck. The rear wheels of the car began to slowly slide off the cliff. There was no time left. Let Vuri quickly grab his hand. The car has already started to fall down. Gonza knows that he was fighting for his life and did not seriously want him dead. So let him grab his hand. Why is Vuri frozen? He will die if he doesn't grab Gonza's hand. He doesn't have time to think. Vuri is so ashamed. He is such a coward. He went against his own people for the sake of his own skin. Gonza said that everything was fine. Let him extend his damn hand to him. He won't risk Gonza. It will be punishment for betrayal. Vuri just wanted to survive, and now he will pay for it. Stop talking nonsense. Put your hand here quickly. The car is about to fall down. He's tired of living. He'll scold himself later, next Tuesday. In fact, Vilgefortz will make his fateful move on Tuesday, not Wednesday. The Lon brothers' clans are also supposed to strike at him on this day. The car has already tilted almost 90 degrees. Let him grab it quickly. Instead, Vuri pushed the elder Lon out of the falling car. He is so sorry. After which Gonza's jeep began to fall down the cliff that Vuri had done. The former traitor's face showed true fear of imminent death. Old fool, they could have fixed it. Next Tuesday, Gonza has to answer the blow. The car fell onto the road with a roar and a deafening explosion was heard. Vuri had been in the clan for so many years. Everyone makes mistakes, but he chose death as punishment. Meanwhile, an unfamiliar driver brought Irene to her new place of work. She was immediately met by a woman in glasses, which meant that she was their new employee. Not bad at all. Let Irene follow her. The new boss is not as warm as her previous boss. The girls walked through the underground parking lot and reached the wall, and then where else? More patience, Irene will need it here. The woman pressed the keys on the phone. The wall split into two parts, each half of which began to move apart. Wow, that's impressive, isn't it? Secrecy means a lot to their organization. Their clients are influential people, and Irene's job is to serve them under any circumstances. They can't just leave here. First they have to sign a contract with Irene. The boss recently brought a guy here. He got so mad that they had to throw him out, and a few days later he died. As Irene thinks it was suicide, not at all, this useless idiot was driven to suicide. Irene swallowed nervously. What did this all mean? Maybe the new girl had questions. K Entertainment really is in charge here. She doesn't feel at ease here. This is only on the surface for appearance's sake, and when the time comes they will come onto the stage. In essence, Vilgefortz is just an empty signboard, meaning nothing to them. They are much broader and stronger. Their influence and connections have no equal here. As for salary, Irene asks the right questions. 500 a day, she must be innocent and defenseless. If the client likes her, she will get more. Irene is just a servant here, no pride. Cameras are everywhere. If there are problems, they will solve them. The new girl must immediately understand that everything that happens to her here will remain within these walls. If the girl decides to threaten them with the police, she will pay for it with her life. Irene bit her lip. What a dangerous game she was getting herself into in the race for money. The headmistress led the new girl to the doors of the girl's main abode, after which she pressed the letter on the wall. Inside there was luxury, a bunch of girls of different appearances and ages. And here is the Elite Club B. All the girls were wearing masks. This is the waiting room for clients. The boss's name is Madame Catherine, and now she will decide Irene's future fate. Meanwhile, the elder Lon reached his brother's club after the accident. Marcus still can't believe that Vuri did this after everything they've been through together. He was a weak man, and Vilgefortz used it well. He just wanted to live. Vilgefortz is planning his raider takeover next Tuesday. They must take action. Ian's eyes flashed steel. He knew this was all a death trap. Club again will not be open on this day. Employees need to be informed about the day off. They need to lay low and come up with a new strategy. All their plans have gone down the drain. The administrator entered the room. Someone from Pandan came to again today. Let Ian stay at the checkout, and let Marcus follow his older brother. Next Tuesday will be the decisive battle, and there Ian will meet the killer of his family. The Lona brothers went out into the street to greet the newly arrived guests. Two men in suits greeted the owners of the establishment. They hadn't seen each other for a long time. Mr. Porton Segan, or perhaps already a representative, how much time has passed? Let Gonza address him as he pleases. They are in the car. They should continue their conversation in it. Senior Lon is grateful that Porton reported this. What gratitude can there be here? Gonza once saved his life. He is eternally indebted to him. Ornan wanted to bring them together. Porton came to his establishment and saw something he shouldn't have. Everything was covered in blood. The bodies of his men were dismembered, and the head of Ornan's chief lay at the front door. And Porton can tell more about what happened. They need to understand who they are dealing with. Porton had never seen anything like this in his entire career. It was a bloodbath with no chance of escape. There were about 10 severed heads lying on the floor, mixed with arms and legs. It takes a certain amount of skill to leave such a trail behind, and the killer's blade was clearly incredibly sharp and strong. No one in the area controls such weapons, which means Vilgefortz hired someone from outside. The weapon must be long and thin, used to chop people into sashimi. By the way, his right hand, Kavor Mainan, also uses blades. Maybe he noticed something. Kavor also noted something, since he decided to dig a little into the bodies. All of Ornan's men were indeed turned into sashimi, but there were almost no traces of it. That is, there were almost no traces of punctures, only a few on the necks. On this basis, Kavor believes that chopping blows were used. This means that the killer was proficient in Komdo, a Korean variation of Kendo. And the worst thing is that this bloody trail is the work of one person. Vilgefortz has never had a fighter of such strength, which means he is increasing his power and attracting people. In fact, there have been rumors for a long time that Vilgefortz is looking for international mercenaries for his clan. Elder Lon doesn't like all this. This freak is up to something, and how cruel his plan is unknown. You can't underestimate him. A new player has entered the game on his side, and this is just the beginning. Ian gathered the entire club staff in the hallway. What happened again? Next Tuesday, all employees get a day off. Which again? But how much can you take? Shessa understood everything correctly, and from what point the guys switched to informal address is none of his business. The team has more and more days off. Is this how you can make money? Ian understands everything, but there will be no other solution. This is what needs to be done. He hopes for their understanding. Shessa went offended into the locker room and took out her phone. It was time for her to leave here too. There had been no money here for a long time. How is Irene doing? She talked about big money. Chessie should go there too. Why is Irene taking so long to respond? Does she really have such a large flow of clients? Why doesn't the girl go home with the rest of the guys? Now she'll go. Let Ian say, Shessa, come with me. Have a nice evening. The guy was completely stunned. Well, he quickly called her by name. He somehow can't remember it. What a bastard. Why doesn't Ian call her by her name? The girl puffed out her cheeks. She didn't care about the guys. Everyone here was like family. But Irene paid a lot. Shessa received a message on her phone from Irene asking her to come to her club. Her body was hanging from the ceiling. The guard tried to free the worker's neck from the rope that was choking her. Meanwhile, Madame Catherine held her phone in her hands and wrote messages on her behalf. They need new girls. Shessa will arrive next Tuesday, which will be their day off. Let the girl save this address. The girl in the photo is quite pretty. She fits. Not even a day had passed, and the new girl was already trying to commit suicide. How annoying it was. Pukak Skyway, Senior Lon, and Representative Porton were exploring the city at night. Wasn't Gonza a blade specialist when he really was? But it had been a long time since the elder Lon had held them in his hands or even looked in their direction. Representative Porton heard that Gonza even has a real katana. That's right. The katana lies peacefully in its place in the club, and has not been used for its intended purpose for a long time. Gonza hadn't touched the katana for so long that Marcus put it away in the wine cellar as a keepsake. Porton wanted to ask him a question. Vilgefortz's attack is coming next Tuesday. This means that at this moment his K entertainment will be empty. The representative suggests that Senior Lore take advantage of this opportunity. That is, Porton wants to strike at an empty lair. They will gather about 70 people. That should be enough. It really is impossible to wait forever. We need to strike at all points of influence of this freak. Senior Lon called Lieramonde. Vilgefortz is going to attack them a day earlier than planned. This is a chance. This freak doesn't know that Ron's clan knows this. They can finish him off. From today on, Liera will pretend to be very busy on Tuesday. She will come to work supposedly alone. The groups will begin to attack from the 5th floor. Reinforcements will be waiting on the 3rd. Attacking from 2 floors at the same time is a great plan. Vilgefortz's men won't stand a chance. Vilgefortz will be in the vanguard. We need to place coal in 5th and wood on the outside. When ready, have the bodyguards contact Liera. She will come later. Finally, the head had a real chance to get rid of this rotten traitor. No suspicious activity was observed. Liera's men entered and left. These are suspicious actions, but do they require their intervention? With the situation hanging in the air, Soyen's deputy, Rick Heath, is doing as much as they can to intervene. These are Pennock's lands. If he finds out that there is surveillance here, he won't like it. His men patrol the territories everywhere, so Rick must not be seen by them. They immediately find out that he works for Soyen, and then a real war will break out. Therefore, they will only intervene when Pennock is no longer a threat. How strange. It was just so sunny and clear. And then suddenly dark clouds came pouring in. There was no rain forecast for Tuesday. Rick didn't even take an umbrella. Even the weather is preparing for a terrible episode. Vilgefortz looked at the gloomy city beneath his windows. Soon it would fall at his feet. Lieramonde looked at the photo of her dead father for the last time. She would not let him down. The Lona brothers and their gangs went to K Entertainment. Meanwhile, an unknown driver brought Shessa to the secret club. The girl was immediately met by Madame Catherine, a seemingly strong girl who should be able to hold out longer than the new girl. First, they need to sign a contract. Shessa won't just leave here. The lady recently hired one. She got so upset and then died. Maybe it was suicide. What? Not at all. That girl was forced to commit suicide. As Shessa thinks, why is this all of a sudden? What is Madame Catherine saying? She will probably leave from here. Shessa hasn't seen anything from them yet, so she can just leave, right? The new girl is very inattentive, and the lady said that she won't leave here just like that. First, she has to fulfill her obligations, and then she will get her freedom. What kind of mousetrap did Shessa just fall into? This lady gives her goosebumps. Meanwhile, the groups of the Lonov brothers and the representative of Porton occupied K Entertainment. The mercenaries blocked the access area. Marcus began to take off his jacket. The time had come. Where is Ian? He's not visible among the other guys, although he was definitely there when they left here. Apparently, the guy went straight to Vilgefortz to settle old scores. They don't need their ninja here, even if he plans to betray. It's not critical, since it will be too late. They will discuss this later. The most important thing is that the Lona brothers stay here until the end. Gonza and Porton gave the order to their men, and the groups went on the offensive. 70 people smashed the glass doors and stormed into K Entertainment. The guards of Vilgefortz's office began to demand an urgent evacuation from the security service. But it was too late. The group swept everyone away in a matter of moments. Marcus will remain in control of the lobby. Personal assistants came to report to Vilgefortz about the raid of other clans. The girls didn't have time to finish speaking before the boss told them to be free and get out of here. The assistants cowardly rushed to the doors, but it was too late. The groups were already on the floor. The personal assistants ran into the boss's office and closed the doors. What should they do now? Let them crawl under the table and not come out until the boss gives them permission. Senior Lon and Porton came out of the elevator. What the hell is this degenerate doing here? He should be on the roadstead. So the representatives like to rob empty houses. How bad. Vilgefortz's men will deal with Lieramond. There is no need for him to be there. Well, in that case, this is a chance given by heaven to take revenge for the cowardly betrayal of the boss to this degenerate. The groups rushed at Vilgefortz. He had planned to spend the evening differently, but this was not bad either. The boss broke through the first line of attackers with a few moves. He took the reinforcement from the mercenary and began to chop down one attacker after another. This monster is really strong, and ordinary street mercenaries are no match for him. Vilgefortz walked forward over the heads of the corpses, killing each of them. This psycho is not human. Vilgefortz's eyes sparkled with mania. How nice it is to feel blood on your hands. Meanwhile, Palin Hugo was already on site at the building of Lieramond's office. Director Yunran was standing next to him, and what the office chick was doing here. Who could he kill? This was the boss's order. Meanwhile, the head of Manga watched what was happening through binoculars from a neighboring building. The office door was left ajar on purpose. Everything is about to start. We need to lure them to the 4th floor in the large hall, lock them in and finish them off. However, Liera does not see Vilgefortz anywhere. Perhaps this freak is delayed. Wait a minute. A car just pulled up to the office. Apparently it was him. However, some stranger with a sword holster came out of the car. Who is that? This lady definitely wasn't in Vilgefortz's ranks before. Did he really hire her for this raid? In the K Entertainment office, the floor was littered with the corpses of Gonza and Porton's men. Porton's right hand, Captain Cavour, stepped forward. Enough senseless sacrifices, one-on-one. Vilgefortz threw a piece of pipe on the floor. What a brave little mouse. Well, go ahead. Killing one-on-one, when no one interferes with enjoying the process, is much more enjoyable. Damn maniac! Cavour rushed with a knife at Vilgefortz, who parried every one of his attacks. Vilgefortz did several somersaults in the air, dodging the captain's attack. What a loyal dog. But his people are afraid of Vilgefortz, and out of fear they are even ready to take their own lives. Representative Porton saw that Vilgefortz had opened up and ordered an attack. This empty-handed psycho decided to fight off the crowd. In 1 second, the sadist broke Captain Cavour's arm and leg, and he roared in pain. The crunch of bones was heard. People are such fragile creatures, and once the little man is gone, Vilgefortz broke the neck of Porton's right arm. His gaze immediately went lifeless. Representative Porton roared furiously. No one should retreat. It's just one person. Everyone stand. The elder Lon came forward. He understood something and needed to see for himself something. That means Kendo. But Gonza hasn't done it for more than 10 years. He left Kendo when he entered this path. Gonza could not tarnish the sacred sword with dirty fights. But not now. Now the elder Lon thirsts for the blood of a traitor and a coward. A wonderful end to this evening. Vilgefortz will finally strangle him with his own hands. Does this psycho really think that bare hands are stronger than a katana? Every fighter is different. Vilgefortz is a former member of the national team. Gonza is far from that level. Meanwhile, the main character approached Lieramond's office today. His family's killer should be here. Today, everything must happen. The murders of his sister and mother will finally be avenged. The office was spurting blood as a Japanese assassin took out the clan in moments. Well, who would have thought that the lady could handle her toy so deftly? What's wrong? Mond's group lured Vilgefortz's people here, and now it's like they've kept their mouths shut. Vilgefortz always builds up his strength before striking. It would have been reckless not to think about that. Cole will fight until his last breath for his mistress, unlike these cowardly rats. The guy is truly talented. Let him go over to Vilgefortz's side. He values people like him. Wealth awaits him. You shouldn't judge others by your boss. Only such rotten people could betray their boss. What do his servants expect at all? He killed the man who raised him, so what awaits them? The conversation is over. Let the Japanese woman kill everyone. There are no worthy shots here except Cole. This is unfair. Let them stop. Did Vilgefortz really not say anything about Wood? What is Wood talking about? Could this little bastard really be a traitor? Palin hasn't heard anything about the brat. This can't be. The boss doesn't mention the names of pathetic nobodies like Wood. This means that Wood is also rotten to the core and has decided to die like a cowardly traitor. Wood understands everything. Honor and duty. But he wants to live more. Traitors never live long. The mercenary smiled contentedly, the stupid coward, and threw her sword at the traitor. Even hired killers have their own unshakable postulates. The traitor began to choke on his own blood. So since the boys have already talked enough, she will continue. It is said that Dan in Kendo is 3 times more important than in other arts. It may not be a real sword, but the way Gonza wields it with such destructive power is impressive. In Kendo, it is good to attack from a distance and then sharply reduce it for a control blow. The upper attacks visually increase the distance between the opponents. Gonza finally raised his hands. What gave Vilgefortz a chance to get close to his body? It's a pity that he would have to kill such a fighter. He and his brother were truly the best that was in the old clan. Vilgefortz grabbed Gonza's body, and then, with one sharp movement, he threw him into the wall, breaking several ribs in the process. Gonza's men wanted to intervene, but he stopped them, letting Lon pick up his weapon. Porton appealed to prudence. Even if Gonza died, his honor would not allow third parties to be involved in their fight. This monster draws all its strength from its weight and fury. Gonza has his hand on the pipe. He will stand until the end. When you hit him from above, his body opens up, so you need to attack him straight ahead. Here, Vilgefortz's hand grabbed Gonza's throat. Well, that was it. It was beautiful. The killer slammed the Elder Lon into the floor with all his might, breaking several more of his ribs. Vilgefortz began to strangle the enemy. There is so much courage and bravery in him. It cannot leave even him indifferent. However, as the killer said, Gonza is far from the level of the national team. Why are Porton's people frozen? Let them help the leader immediately. However, the members of the group froze in fear and stared at Vilgefortz. Vilgefortz will personally strangle anyone who moves from this spot. Elder Lon whispered with all his might for Porton to leave immediately. The representative will not abandon him. This is Gonza's order. While this degenerate is busy with him, let him save his people. Porton bit his lip. It was all over for Gonza, but they could still be saved, alive. While Gonza is still alive, and this fighter is right, as soon as he dies, Porton will be next. Senior Lon asks to leave quickly. He doesn't have much time left. The representative turned to his men and ordered everyone to leave immediately. Vilgefortz said that blackmail and betrayal are the privilege of the strong. He will always be just a pitiful shadow. There will be someone who will surpass his strength. Such a person already exists. That was the last thing the Elder Lon said in his life, his eyes rolling back. Gonza and Porton's men ran out of the elevator on the first floor. Marcus immediately turned around to see what was going on. Porton ordered the younger Lon to quickly get his people out of here. And where is his brother? They will talk later. Now the main thing for them is to survive. This is the order of his older brother. Marcus understood everything. He would not see his older brother again. He stayed there. The boss's personal assistant watched his bloody massacre. After the killer finished with Gonza, he turned around at the door of his office and caught her. The girl immediately ran in fear to hide under the table, but the boss was already close. The assistants began to shake under the table. The door creaked. Vilgefortz entered the office. The girls began to scream in fear and beg not to kill them. They would not tell anyone anything. The boss told them to hide and not show their faces. They are not doing their job well. The girls saw everything. No, they saw everything, and nothing can be done about it. The assistants begged for mercy, but the killer's hand was already reaching out to them. A few seconds later, 2 lifeless bodies of his assistants were already lying at Vilgefortz's feet. The killer began to wipe the blood off his hands. And now how can he settle all this with the boss? What kind of psychopath is this? She just cut the entire Mond group into pieces. Cole is powerless against this mercenary, but he will not back down or betray his principles. The mercenary put the blade of her sword to Cole's throat. Let her leave him alive. This guy suits their boss's taste, and he will serve as excellent bait. Pelin took out his phone and turned on the translator. They should spare him for now. Have Cole tell her where his boss is or call her and tell her they won. Liera Mond must come here. Cole will not do this. Let them cut him into pieces right away. Here behind the groups, wild screams and groans were heard. What the hell is this? The main character entered the room. Who is he? Didn't his people remove everyone? What the guy must have gone to the wrong office. There was a robbery going on here. He was unlucky to be here. Cole became wary. This guy exuded some kind of monstrous invisible force. Who is it? Steel flashed in the master's eyes. Where is that damn Vilgefortz? So the boy is a suicide bomber. Now his Japanese girlfriend will quickly help him. The mercenary immediately rushed forward and dealt a crushing blow with her sword. However, the young man rejected it with total indifference. What the hell was that? The killer unleashed another series of blows on him, but Ian easily parried each one. The mercenary ordered all gang members to leave the office. This would be her personal battle. Samchiokto, so the guy also knows Japanese. What a nice surprise. Just a little kendo terminology. He won't get out of here alive. Ian doesn't understand this lady, but he has no time for talking. He needs Vilgefortz. The mercenary made a couple of swings with her sword. Its blade almost pierced Ian's eye, but he managed to dodge. Blow after blow rained down on the master, but each one crumbled against Ian's blocks. Who is this guy? The mercenary is a champion in Japan and simply cannot lose to him. What kind of weapon is that in his hands? And the technique? It's as if this guy took all of them and adjusted them for himself. As if this fighter were martial arts incarnate, Pelon pulled out a knife from behind his back. The mercenary immediately struck her sword in front of his feet. This was a fight between only 2 people. One more step, and Pelon's head would fly to the floor. What is she talking about? Pelon wants to help her. Fighters have honor, unlike cowardly mercenaries. This is her war. If Pelon moves, she will cut off his arms and legs. The mercenary was stunned by what she was saying. Their main thing is to bring victory to Vilgefortz. Cole decided to take advantage of Pelon's confusion and rushed to the window. Cole ran and broke the glass, falling down onto the street, causing everyone to freeze. The escaped fighter managed to group himself and immediately rushed to run away. Why is everyone standing still? Let the Cretans immediately catch up with this bastard. What about this guy? The boss's mercenary will deal with him. She doesn't need help. What kind of weapon does the enemy have? It's hard to find a sword like that even in Japan. There was no answer. The guy has crazy self-control, no emotions, complete control over the situation. Apparently the young man is involved in martial arts. The mercenary will teach him real combat. A year ago, the main character began to learn new techniques after another training session. His mentor entered the room. It was already late. Why didn't the student go home? Ian decided to learn new techniques of the art of kendo. There is a lot of useful information here. It turns out that there are a huge number of different styles of kendo. The mentor nodded. There really are a lot of them. The style depends on the tournament. There are fighters who enter the fighting arena even with spears. Ian had already seen this style in the textbook. What Ian reads about is a style that uses katanas, but he doubts its practicality. In combat, it is easy to change the direction of this sword with one strike to the blade. They can try it right now. Ian didn't have to be persuaded for long. The student should imagine that he has a standard-length katana in his hands. If you handle such a weapon incorrectly, you can get hurt, slow down. He doesn't want to kill the teacher. The young master needs to practice. Let's do some more. Defense is a way to shift the opponent's center of gravity. Losing your balance will result in a loss of control, leaving your opponent open to attack. You need to quickly hit the wrist to neutralize the opponent's upper attack, and then you need to immediately close the distance and hit him on the head. The student managed to deflect his mentor's blow in a split second. Such speed is impossible. The way Ian did it, the way he managed to block the blow, it was automatic. Well, the mentor deliberately attacked slowly, giving the student a chance to parry the blow. So why is Ian looking at him with a stony gaze? Can't a teacher even joke? This kid has martial arts running through his veins. He is martial arts. The mercenary was already furious, not used to the fact that her sword attacks could be ignored. This can't be. The killer can't land a single blow on the enemy. Something is wrong here. This is not an ordinary fighter. There is some kind of monstrous power in him. The teacher's method, steel pipe versus katana, destructive power on his side, which sweeps away everything in its path without a chance of salvation. No one will stop it. The mercenary's long sword was broken by one precise blow from the master's pipe. The Japanese champion recalled this phenomenal technique and strength. This is the same guy who replaced Yuta at the international tournament. The team had an outstanding result, 7 wins in a row, but the fighter Yuta left. Yuta quit kendo for personal reasons, and it seemed like the team had lost all chances to win. They called in someone who matched his strength as a replacement, Ian Shiran, but that guy was much stronger. That fighter was stronger than anyone and possessed inhuman destructive power. A guy from Korea who demonstrated an unprecedented level. The world has never seen and will never see such fighters. Yen is the god of the katana.